Alrighty, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 279 of the KBMOD podcast. It is May 21st, 2017, of course, not 2016, not 2018. The fact that we're almost done with May, though, should scare you because, 2018 is creeping up on us. And guys, I've been saying this every week. It's not my birthday yet, but in 2 days.
You're just going to have a meltdown? Or what's happening?
No. Yeah. So I'm turning 30 on Tuesday. I have to share it because I've been talking about it on the cast every week. Every week we've had the cast in May, and I'll be turning 30. And no, I'm looking. You know what? Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not scared. I'm only looking ahead. But I did want to bounce. This is what I forgot. You weren't here last week, Brennan, but the week that I went and. Did we talk about me going to see? I think it was the week he was here. That way, I would have talked about my experience going to the Coheed show, and I don't think you were here for that. So, because I know you saw Coheed,
I don't think
a couple weeks ago.
I don't think I heard about it.
Let's talk about it. So, first of all, the show was great as always, but people were asking me about the show after the fact, and I talked about this last week, but I'll talk about it with you. I was enjoying it, but I was struck by the fact that everybody at the show, there were no young people, quote unquote, at the show. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Like Coheed is not a band that, is going to necessarily attract, the young fans anymore. But the other thing is that, like, I mean, I've been going to Coheed shows for now 10 years. You grow up with the bands that you like, of course. Mm-hmm. So, but it was the first time I really took a step back and was like, because at first I was like in my mind, because you don't really feel, I don't know, I don't know what mental age you get to and then stop for a lot of people where you're just like, yeah, your body ages, but your mind, you don't really feel that much older. But I was looking around and I was just like, please, somebody, anybody, just show me, like, this sounds like I'm a creeper, but like, come on, even just a teenager excited about Coheed, like, it would make me feel young again, and it was just, and even the energy of the crowd, like, sure, if you go to the very front, there might be a few people that were really getting into it, but like the entire show was at a really nice venue. Everyone's just standing there. There's plenty of space. There's not really much crowding going on. People are mouthing the words. There's an occasional hand raised, and stuff like that. If you're really getting into it,
just a bunch of courteous showgoers.
But courteous showgoers who aren't interested in turning up anymore. Like, and even Brandon, to the point that Coheed went on at exactly 9:30. They did their set for an hour and a half or so, and we were all out of the building by before like 10:55. And it was like, even that whole vibe of it was like, they're older, they got their families traveling with them and stuff. You know what I mean? It's just so funny how, anyway, that was my sobering realization, was like, man, I mean, I still enjoy this, but it's just a totally different, like, I saw them 10 years ago at the Electric Factory when they were playing through In Keeping Secrets, and that crowd, I mean, you couldn't even, like, it was so packed and there was so much moshing going on all the time. The album's a little bit different in vibe too than like some of their later stuff, but it's just, you had to like make sure that you could stay on your feet during that show.
Yeah,
and it's
the
just
fact that there was
changes.
a mosh, like that there was moshing going on at a Coheed show, which is typically not like a mosh heavy show to begin with.
No.
That speaks for how that demographic, those same people are now 10 years older.
Exactly, they are. They're not interested in that anymore.
Yeah, but, I've gotten the same feeling from other shows I've been to, where I think about, like, I still listen to a lot of the same bands that I listened to, like, when I was in high school or in college. And I'm not even talking about, like, Metallica and bands that actually precede my time, but I'm talking about, bands like Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine and Five Finger Death Punch, like bands that, have been popular for a while. And when I think about how old those bands were when I first discovered them, that, it's been like a decade.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, it is. And it is anyway. It's just like, I know everybody goes, I'm sure everybody has those same kind of realizations as you age. But that was the first time. The other thought I had was like when I would watch either like Rolling Stone shows or other bands that, like you said, have preceded my time, much older. And you look at the crowd and you're like, haha, look at those people sitting in their lawn chairs. They're so fucking old. And I'm like, that's going to be, in 20 or 30 years, like, as long as, a lot of those bands still tour, maybe not as much, but they have reunion tours and whatever else. That's going to be me. I'm going to be in a fucking, wheelchair or something, just out on the lawn, enjoying, Claudio Sanchez, who's got this long gray beard, wrinkled, but still doing his music. And it's like, oh man, anyway, it's just
Yeah, like
sobering. It's just
when I think
sobering
about
to
something
say.
like Tool's last album came out 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's nuts.
Scott, the description just reminded me of like what I would imagine a ZZ Top concert would be like.
Exactly. No, exactly. But like back in the day, you know, ZZ, those were they had the young crowd. They were young guys. But you know, no, exactly. Yeah, ZZ Top's a good example. But anyway, so I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, and
Yeah,
hopefully,
music. I feel like music sort of just it stays in time. Like, you know, you don't grow tired of the same type of music, and so it's very easy for me to lose track of just how old some of the bands are that I still listen to. And you're right. Like now, you know, in we're not old yet.
No, we're not.
But
old.
I imagine I will still enjoy going to rock shows, you know, 10 years from now. And so at some point, I'm going to be that, you know, the old person at these shows.
Exactly.
But that's why I think we have to do our part to. I've made a, I don't know, not a pact to myself, but like I tell myself this, that the moment I will know I'm old is the moment that I don't buy general admission and I buy seats at a show.
That's a good point.
That's the thing, is like I don't get a seat, right? If I can't get general admission, a lot of times I just won't go. Like if general admission sells out, I probably won't go.
Oh yeah, you want to be on the floor. Yeah, you don't want to be sitting in a seat away from.
Like I felt pretty good about that I'm not old yet, because like I'm still in the crowd there, you know, holding people that are crowd surfing and all that, you know, protecting. I don't mosh myself, but I'm protecting people from the people that are moshing. You know, I'm usually on the edge, so you know, we still have some youth in us left, Scott.
No, we do. I know. This sounds like I'm super, like I'm just like, oh, it's all over for me. And I know, relatively, like 30 years old compared to, you know, like my parents or whatever. They're like, you're young. Like, what are you talking about? You don't know anything. But it is more. The other thing I was going to say, Brennan, is one thing that I have in my mind, and I try not to do it. I do fall into this trap, but it's like the whole idea of like, what are they fucking kids listening to nowadays? You know what I mean? Like I'll hear something and I'm like, but then my parents, like when I was getting into this noise, and so I'll catch myself where even things like, this is maybe a dumb example for this and other stuff, but like Future, it just depends on my mood. But where I'd be like, they're just mumble rapping, like but people love it. And it's like, understand it. Like I don't have to understand it. You know, I don't know. I just don't want to be that old guy who's like constantly like talking down just because it's not my cup of tea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that you don't have your opinion on stuff, but anyway, so like that's kind of the mark for me. And I've caught myself sometimes being like, I just like, what are these teenagers listening to? And I'm like, this is what my dad would say to me. Like, what are you listening to? So whatever. Anyway, but Brad's still a young one. He doesn't, you know what? I don't know. How old are you again, Brandon? You're late 20s?
I'm 28.
Okay, good. You're a little bit closer to me. That makes me feel better. That's good.
Yeah, I feel like I don't hear as much like new bands coming out though that I really enjoy. Like it's for me, it's a lot of the bands that I've been listening to that they'll put out new records. But
that's true.
I mean, maybe there's, you know, this underground of bands that I'm missing out on. But you know, a lot of it, the newer music seems like kind of pop music and other genres, obviously like electronic music and stuff.
Right.
That, you know, is fine, but it's not really music that I go to shows for. It's not music that I seek out to see live.
Well, I think one thing's different today than it was 10 years ago is that we have the internet is so good at showing us like obscure content that's relevant to our own interests that we might not have seen through mainstream media. So like,
that's true.
I know I listen to so many different artists that I honestly probably can't name off the top of my head, but just because of like services like Google Play and stuff, I just set up a station like on a song I like, and then they do so good of just like playing different music related off of that. It's crazy, but because of that I'm listening to music that I'm not sure many people know about, but I'm just still discovering today. And
Well, yeah, and like you said, with with internet and social media and apps that show us stuff that you would never like. The way you got music before was either, I mean, before MTV, right? There was radio. You know, you would go to a record store, you would just buy, like, you would look at a record and look at the cover, and maybe you would just buy it because the cover was good. You know, that was like when cover art actually mattered.
Well, I think
like
radio actually played a huge part because like
yeah.
MTV was just had gone mainstream, like whatever hip hop, pop, rap was playing. So if you wanted anything different, you would listen to the radio and hope to find out new artists from like somebody in their daily show or something like related to a specific genre, so like an alternative station or something. Or
yeah, I mean, I used to listen to our rock station all the time. Yeah. And that was how I would find at least new artists sometimes, and then I would go seek out more of their music. But yeah, I mean, that is completely different now. I don't listen to the radio at all. So it's like if I were a young kid today, I don't really know how I would discover music because it's just so fundamentally different from the way I discovered music as a kid, which was on the radio and then like on Napster, right? And like you know, just that ecosystem's so different now, where it's like I guess you would discover it on Spotify or Pandora or something, on YouTube.
Casey Neistat vlog, your favorite vlogger plays. I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
You go to the comments and be like, "What's that song?" It'll be 50,000 comments, and then
you're right.
And then you'll go to the video of the song, and then people are like, "I came here from Casey Neistat's vlog," and you're like, "This is the world we live in now." Though. But really, it is like discovery.
And that part makes me feel old because that is just like I don't care at all about finding music through avenues like that.
Same. I know. It is crazy. But anyway, I know we're getting a deeper discussion.
This is actually one thing I've thought about before is at what point, because obviously I'm a rock fan, so like there's you have different genres of rock and stuff, but you have like classic rock. And classic rock, I think most people take to mean, like 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, right? But how far, like, at what point will the rock that was just the rock I was listening to as a kid become what is thought of as like classic rock?
Right.
I think a given is 20 to 30 years. It's somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
Because and I at least remember in like the 2000s when I was definitely listening to rock more often. I mean, if you think about it, 70s was considered classic rock, right? So that's only 30 years then. Now we're looking almost
I know. I'm just that's something I've thought about, where like that's where I think I'll feel old, is when the music that I remember coming out becomes classic.
Yeah. Well, even at the Coheed show, Claudia was like, I mean, the biggest album that people that know Coheed, they blew up during that Good Apollo album. And, Welcome Home got on Rock Band, right? And it got radio play. And that was what people know. It's a great song. It's a great song. They have so many other great songs, but that is it's a good one. But then that's what people know them as. And so like, yeah. And then he was talking about
how in 2005, that song is 12 years old.
And that's what he said. He's like, this album has been so good to us. It's 12 years old and we still tour to it. He's like, it just blows. And he was talking about how like, we all used to have a 9-to-5 job before that album came out because we couldn't afford to do music full time. And anyway, it was just fascinating. And it's like, yeah, that album, I remember I was so hyped. Like when I got my physical copy of that, I ordered the deluxe edition,
I remember, I remember hearing that song on the radio over and over and over. Yeah. And like, that's I think that might've been how I discovered Coheed. I didn't listen to Coheed before that.
Yep, exactly.
Man.
So anyway, we didn't even get to what we've been doing. Well, I'll just keep the train going because this is involved in what I've been doing. So I just wanted to get Brandon's take on the Coheed stuff. But in addition to aging, as I said, I'm turning 30 on Tuesday. But so I celebrated yesterday. I celebrated, did stuff with my family, and my birthday gifts. I just wanted to go over this because this is if we're building a sad picture of my life, like this will only further it.
I can't wait.
A while ago, my mom had asked me what I wanted for my birthday. And at one point in my chat, it had come up that there's this great plastic little seat thing called the Squatty potty that I don't know if you've seen ads for.
Say no more.
But Yes, I mean people talk about the Squatty Potty and how it really has revolutionized their going number two, and so I did some research. I watched the video on it. I read some reviews. People are like, "No, this thing is incredible." So so I literally asked my mother for a Squatty Potty, and of course my parents delivered. So there I am sitting at my childhood home. You know, I see the big box, and I'm like, I think I know what that is, and I I got there's actually two Squatty Potties. There's a 7-inch and a 9-inch, depending on the height that you need. And I have to say, I've used it twice now in total since receiving it yesterday. I've had some good movements, and you have to get used to it. But once you do, it is truly it is as advertised. It just aligns you in a much better way. There's a lot less work required. And that was, but
Thank
I'm just
God,
there's a lot
problem
less
before,
work
but
required.
a lot less work. It's hard to describe, but there's very little pushing that needs to be done when you're aligned properly. And so yeah, it's pretty legit. So that was one of my gifts, and then the other gift. These are all practical gifts, but the other gift was a really nice electric griddle that my brother got me, and because I like breakfast food and stuff like that, and we have gas here, and so for cooking certain things, gas can be a little bit temperamental because it's hard to get the whole pan evenly heated. So he got me this really nice one, and I'm like, those are the gifts. I mean, we talk about adult gifts, but so literally revolutionizing how I poop, and also just a nice griddle.
But see,
and
I feel like those are the gifts that I want, because I don't want gifts. Like, I don't want small tchotchke type gifts. I want things that I'll actually use. I don't want stuff that will just clutter up my house. And I think that's the getting older, I think, just means that you want more practical gifts. And if someone isn't going to get you something practical that you'll actually use, it's like, I appreciate the thought, right? But just wish me a happy birthday, and that's fine. You don't have to get me something or get me a gift card or whatever. But I don't want clutter. So it's like, those are two very practical gifts that you'll actually incorporate into your daily or weekly life.
Exactly. Yeah. No. So it really was, as far as gifts go, it's probably some of my favorite, two of my favorite gifts I've had for a birthday in a long time. But so yeah. So that was that, and then I know we were going to talk about what we've been. I guess we were talking about what we've been doing, but I'm going to move this. Did you guys have anything you wanted to say first? Because I'm going to get into what I've been eating too, because it relates to the birthday stuff. But you guys can go first.
I mean, I haven't really done anything. I was just gonna comment on. I got a new TV for downstairs. I was very excited. So they delivered it on Monday, and I set it up. It's a new 65-inch Vizio. It's upgrading, to a new 4K.
This is the one you had to order through the site, right?
Yep. I had to order it through the site. It took like 3 weeks to get in. So I was, the suspense had been building. And so I put it up on my TV stand. The picture's beautiful, looks great, but there's some maybe like firmware issue or something, some hardware or firmware issue, where it has a built-in Google Cast, so that's cool. Okay. Like, it's basically a Chromecast inside the TV. Right. So I'm casting Twitch. I'm watching Twitch stream, and in beautiful color, and all of a sudden, like, the video just artifacts and basically freezes the video. Audio is still fine, but video is completely warped and like, you can't see anything. And so there's some problem with the TV. I don't know what it is, but I had to call Vizio. Is it just when you're casting? No, it's not just when I'm casting. It's on other inputs too, but it's most frequent when I'm casting the built-in Chromecast. So I had to call Vizio tech support, and because this is a new model, like, here's the thing. I broke my normal advice, which is don't get the thing that's brand new, right? Right. And so of course, I broke my own advice, right? It's a brand new model, so there's no like forum discussions about this TV. There's no anything. Right. But I guess on the upside, I called Vizio support, and I explained. It was actually one of the most helpful support interactions I've ever had. Because, that's good to know. Because as you know, as someone who is like technically literate, I went through all the troubleshooting steps, right? I did a soft reset, power cycle, did a factory reset to defaults, all the different steps, right? And so I just talked this guy's ear off for like 3 minutes straight, telling him all the things I had done. And then when I finished, he was like, Yeah, I don't see that issue, for this TV, and it's pretty new, so we'll replace it. It's like,
Oh wow.
okay,
Wow.
well there
All
we
right.
go.
Yeah, that was good.
So
You didn't have to. I mean, he listened to you. He's like, all right, yeah. Like that's always the best when somebody respects the knowledge that you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to fight you on it. They're like, all right, you
I
did
was
everything.
I was so ready, right? In my, in
Nice.
dealing with like Comcast and
Yeah.
AT&T and all these companies, that they're just looking for a way to keep you from getting what you really want.
Right.
And like I didn't have to fight with him at all. He was just like, yeah, that's don't know how to help you there. We'll replace it. So it was great.
That's
well,
awesome.
not great
Yeah.
because I have to get the TV replaced.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, it's
who's Vizio bought out by or something like that? Weren't they just recently
I think-
purchased by or acquired by someone?
Aren't they a brand of Sony or no?
No, I don't think so. I'm
Oh,
not
no?
sure. But
I see.
I mean, their TVs have a fairly good reputation. That's why I actually think it seems like a firmware issue, but because this TV is so new, it's like impossible to know if it's an actual hardware problem or bad firmware. And that's the scary thing is this is the first big TV I've had where software is driving the whole TV. Like before
Right.
this, I had a TV that, there were no apps, there were no anything. It was just a
Yeah.
TV. So the only thing that could break was like the TV itself, the hardware of the TV. But here, I don't know if it's a problem with the TV or if it's a problem with this brand new software that runs the TV. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay. They'll replace it, and that's all.
That's good.
good.
That is good news to know that they just listened to you and they were like, yeah, we'll replace it.
Yeah. I was impressed with the
just
support.
Doesn't happen. Yeah.
Even though it was under unfortunate circumstances. But yeah, the TV looked really nice, and 4K content looks pretty good. There's not very much of it, but I mean it does look very nice and crisp. So I'm
sure
on
you
that
were watching my
bandwagon now.
stream at 4K, which I routinely stream at because people can watch that. Actually, are you watching like Netflix and stuff like that has 4K?
Yeah, I was watching Netflix, some Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all the Netflix originals are in 4K. So
Okay.
that's what I was
Cool.
watching.
That's neat. Okay, cool. And Brad, what about you? Did you have anything going on this week before we?
Nothing too crazy. No. Couple interviews. Went on a hike today. Nothing too nutty. So.
Okay, cool. What have you boys been eating? Anything of note that you want to? This is what Brad added to the doc.
I actually have something to share.
Oh, hit me.
See, I knew we would all have something. So
We
that's
always
why
have something.
This is
Yeah.
this is a nice addition. So I went to Taco Bell the other night.
Oh, I know what.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready.
And so I'm trying to be like mildly healthier than my previous self, right? So when I go to Taco
So
Bell
you went to
now,
Taco Bell.
I'm doing well. No, I mean there's a Taco Bell close to me, and so I get the fresco tacos, which are
Okay.
Okay.
They're not perfect, but like they're fine.
Oh yeah, compared to some of the other stuff you could get, yeah.
But then I saw on the menu, I saw the naked chicken chips.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
And I had heard them talked about on the cast.
Yes. Okay.
So I gave them a try, and you know
Mhm.
what? Pretty good.
Yeah.
They were pretty good. I didn't expect to really like the cheese with it because
Mhm.
I don't eat chicken nuggets with cheese, but
Right.
but it actually worked pretty well. They had like a little bit of spice to them, and so I threw down a dozen of them, no problem.
Okay. So is it something like you would get again, or was it more of a novelty item where you're like,
I think I'd get it again. It felt
Okay.
kind of weird ordering, what are essentially chicken nuggets from Taco
Right.
Bell, but they
Right.
they were fine. I would say the quality was like the same as you'd get at, Wendy's or McDonald's. Like it didn't strike me as fantastic quality.
I
but
thought
it
they
was good.
personally tasted just like Burger King chicken nuggets. That's what they.
Yeah, that's what Brad was. Did you?
Yeah,
Did
they
you get that
tasted
vibe?
exactly like that.
I don't really go to Burger King that often, so I don't know
I
that
don't
can
either, but
compare.
like the chicken nuggets from Burger King is like one of the few things I would get.
Yeah. But I mean, it was it was a nice compliment to my meal. So I was I would get it again. Get it again.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, there's a Taco Bell pretty close to me, and anytime I have to go anywhere, I always drive by it, and they've been advertising the those naked, what are they called? Naked chips, chicken chips.
Naked chicken chips.
So
it seemed like a weird name for what they actually were.
Yeah, why?
Like, why do you need naked in the name?
Right.
But maybe it's edgy. It's 2017.
I guess
you got to have edgy names.
I mean, I have to say Taco Bell's marketing campaign too, where they have like the old style, like black and white, like PSAs that they do, like 1950s, where it's like, don't. I don't know if you've seen any of that. If you don't watch TV, you don't see these, but they're actually pretty clever, and they have those in there and some of the other stuff. And it's like, don't let your friends try the Taco Bell naked chicken, and so it's like super over the top, but done in that style. It's really good. And anyway, I just have to say, I think their marketing is always usually pretty on point. I mean, Taco Bell in general has usually had pretty good marketing.
Yeah, I think if they were to keep them around as a perennial item, they should have more sauces, because the nacho cheese is a good point in chat that it's just nacho cheese, and it's fine, but I would potentially order it. It would become a regular order for me if they had a more varied selection of sauces.
Makes sense.
Because like Chick-fil-A, for instance, has a bunch of different types of sauce. And so that's why I can get chicken nuggets every time there and just vary up the sauces.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Everybody's had them at this point. You've had them, Brad. Okay. I'm just this week. I will make a point. I mean, it's literally down the road for me. I can just go and get some of the, and I will give you my feedback, because same thing. I haven't had BK in a long time, but I know what you mean about the flavor. Like, I know what the nuggets from BK taste like. So
they're just so distinct. It's like hard
they have
to
a distinct
forget.
flavor to them. So I'll see if I get the same vibe. But that's good. What about you, Brad? You said you have something you ate this week you want to talk about?
Yeah. So the other day I went to a place called Solstice in down the river, and I got a miniature pizza, right? And they're all cooked over like wood fires too, which is pretty sweet.
Nice.
Pepperoni, pepperoncinis, other peppers, marinara, and mozzarella cheese, and it was the shit.
Was it? It's like a thin. I mean, usually thin pie, right? Too, like crispy, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit crispy. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. It's the way I like my pies.
Yeah, that's and then Katie ordered us some fries too, which they, I guess, fry in truffle oil, which actually was really, really good.
Good.
And then today I had country fried steak. I went to this place in Hood River, and they try to do everything local and all natural ingredients and stuff, and it was just so good. It's like some of the best gravy I've had on a country fried steak too.
You're killing me. Was that your photo? Was that your photo?
That was my photo today. Yeah.
Oh man, it looked so good. Put that into the chat for the people that are here live. They need to take a look at that. Yeah, I was super jealous.
Love a good country fried steak.
So good, man. Gosh darn. And I'll go real quick. I went to probably my favorite spot in Philly as far as pizza goes. There's some decent pizza places in Philly, but there's this place called Gennaros Tomato Pie on 11th Street in Philly, and it's so good. They do a lot of takeout, but they do have a sit down area, and they recently moved locations, and it's just incredible pizza. I don't know if anybody from the Philly area has ever gone to Gennaros, but we've gone there multiple times. I went there for my birthday yesterday, and this is the second time I've been there in the last couple months. We went for another birthday of a different family member, and both times we went, the place was dead. And we went on a Saturday at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, right? And you'd think like the old location, they recently moved locations. The old location would have been crowded, and so I was like, we got there and I was like, is this business like actually like their food is like they've been on a lot of lists. They're like they're kind of really well known, at least for the people that know about them. Like, I guess that's kind of redundant, but like if you know good pizza, you would know this place, kind of thing. So like word of mouth, and they've been in magazines, but there's never anybody there. And so my dad was like, do you think they're doing good business? And it turns out the owner, he was sitting like a little bit further away talking to this other dude. And I was listening to the conversation, and the guy was like, yeah, so we're planning to rent this place out, And I was like, what? I'm hearing this, trying to enjoy some of my favorite pizza I've ever had, and listening to, as the owners basically like, yeah, they move locations and there's nowhere to park at this new spot. And I think that's also what's really killing them. Plus they're in an area that has all these uppity, like tapas and like wine bars and shit like that. And it's just like, there's so much competition going on where they move that I think that was kind of like, they used to be in a little bit more of a rundown play area in Philly. And it kills me because I don't know if like they're going to keep the pizza business and maybe move it somewhere else, or if they're just going to get rid of it. But it's like a Travis. Like it was another weird thing where it was like I was trying to enjoy my pizza and it was incredible. It was great, but I was like also like this might be the last time I'm I'm eating here. So anyway, it was kind of bittersweet. And hearing that conversation, I'll probably have to try to go like 4 more times before they close like this year. It's not a very good thing.
Location is really a big part. I mean, like in Portland, it's part of the culture anymore to like for hipsters on Instagram to try and find the biggest, best like hole in the wall somewhere, and then that it doesn't matter in that case. But if you're like any other kind of company that's not appealing to just hipsters trying to get their Instagram, something for the gram, you're just trying to make good food.
Exactly.
Like that is hard. You get, location plays a huge role into some of that stuff. And honestly, that has deterred me from going to some places too. It's like, well, parking's really shitty. Let's see if we can find something else.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a situation where they felt like their reputation preceded them to the point that it didn't matter. Do you know what I mean? And maybe they got a little cocky because it's a pain in the ass. Like whatever, you can find parking, but it's all street parking. And also I think the neighborhood that they moved to, like it has been built over the last year. There's places that I never saw before. And so, yeah, I think it's just kind of becoming a casualty of that. And it's just a shame because it really is just like, I've never taken anybody there and have them not go like, this is some of the best pie I've ever had. So it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. So yes, Tab, I did overhear. Okay. No, Tab overheard them. And I also heard the conversation about them talking about putting in a bar. Okay. Sorry. She's going to correct me. My girlfriend's in here. Yes. She's the one who heard the owner, but
I also
when I'm telling stories, I gotta bring it all in together. Okay, you know what? Listen, sorry. Go ahead, Brendan.
So last weekend I was in Los Angeles or Anaheim more specifically, and so we went to Disneyland and Universal Studios, and in Disneyland I'd never been to the downtown Disney area there, but they have a bunch of shops and stuff. And so one night we went to a what's it called? Jazz Kitchen, in downtown Disney there, and it's like a a New Orleans inspired place, and it was really really good. So if you're in the LA area, I'm sure that's you probably don't go to that area very often unless you're a tourist, but if you do happen to find yourself around Disneyland, that place was really good.
That does sound
4.3 on Google reviews.
Not bad.
There you go.
Not bad. All right. Well, this is I'm really glad you added this little section. We'll try to.
Why even bother talking about what we've been playing? That seems so unimportant.
It does. It does seem unimportant. Very unimportant at this point. But what have we? You know what, gentlemen? Let's do it. We'll get to. I'm sure there'll be more food brought up later in the cast. There always is. So we can always come back to our baby. But what's been on the Brad? I'm just gonna ask you. Rust? You back to Rust yet?
Nope. You know what? I'm actually lost right now. I have nothing I'm playing right now, and I'm trying to figure out what to play. It's a struggle right now because I have a lot of free time. And to be honest, I'm quite bored with everything that's out there right now.
Dang.
Even Battlegrounds has kind of lost its touch for me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of a lost soul right now. Man.
I've been watching a lot of Twitch streams though. I think I talked about this last week, but GTA 5 RP is some of the best content I've seen in a while, and I think that's kind of been a good chunk of what would normally be my playtime. I'm probably watching on Twitch.
You need to play games when you got Sheriff Eli.
That's right.
I was just gonna say, have you been tempted? You haven't been tempted to role play or try to get into it at all? Bring a character
No,
around?
just because honestly, I'm not creative enough, and
Oh,
I
okay.
totally respect those guys that like just create so much dialogue and story like on a whim. It's a talent that I definitely don't have. At least I don't think I have. The only thing I was thinking about is I could probably pull off a chunk from the Goonies, like some rendition.
I mean, go for it.
No, just that's about as creative as I could get, probably.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of something that I could. I mean, we have similar, I guess, somewhat similar gaming tastes. Did you ever play any of like the? Were you ever into sports games or anything, or like any of the arcade sports games growing up, or did you never play this? Okay.
No,
I might not have anything for you right now. Man, okay. Well, that's fine. Hey, you know what? Sometimes, I mean, we all go through lulls in our gaming throughout our lives. So, but you sound like you want something to play, though. When you say I feel lost, that tells me that you're looking for some hope. So I feel like I should give you something that would be fun to play. Even like nothing single player stuck out. Like, have you ever played through the Witcher, like Witcher 3 or anything like that?
that
Like,
shit bored me so quick. I don't know. It's so much dialogue, unfortunately.
Yeah, you don't really like those type of RPGs.
Yeah, I'm more of like into like action type. Like some people don't like linear storylines. I'm all for that. If it's like kind of like a movie experience, it's kind of like Far Cry. Far Cry was definitely pretty straightforward the direction it was going. I enjoyed some of those games. Yeah, I don't know.
Have you heard of Call of Duty?
Okay.
I was gonna say campaign, pretty action packed, pretty linear.
All right.
I'm half kidding. No, sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, it's fun.
Brad's like, you don't care about me. Clearly,
no, yeah. You just want to see me burn.
No, dude. You know what it is? A lot of it is you. I feel like you always go back to Rust. So part of me is just like, you're gonna go back to it.
Nah,
I'm
kind of wrote it off. Real? So what the devs did was, if you don't know anything about Rust, it's a survival game, and you basically try and create a base and kill everyone else and be the top dog and raid other people, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Well, the devs changed something in the game that completely altered like how it's played. And so what they did was you put down something called the tool cupboard, and if you put down a tool cupboard, it protects your region, so nobody could build like on your plot of land, basically. Well, they changed it so people can use twig materials, which is the cheapest, easiest stuff to break, on your land, whether or not you have a tool cupboard or not. So you have people just like it's so hard to build your own base, not get raided from like the top down, stuff like that. So completely altered it. But I'm just like over grinding and getting raided, and it just makes it worse. So it's like I'm gonna wait till beta probably to get back into Rust. Like I just completely wrote it off. So
okay, all right, fair enough. All right, Brandon. What about? I also should mention Katie Sen's not on the cast tonight.
I just didn't do introductions.
We didn't do any introductions. I know we're kind of, dude. I launched in this whole age thing, and then
once we were talking about food,
we lost it. But yeah, Katie Sen was at work and then also feeling under the weather, so hopefully he'll be back next week. But anyway, yeah. See, I almost glossed over it, like I wasn't going to talk about it. Like, yeah, Katie Sen is no longer with the cast, or like, no, I didn't say anything. But yeah, he's just not with us this week. He should be back next week. So anyway. Wanted to get that.
That's why you're not asking him about what he's been eating or what he's been doing.
I'm sure people assume that, but if they're listening, it's just
Katie,
like,
the KD fans out there are so upset with you up until right now. They thought he was on the cast.
Katie has not talked for how long they've been live. But yeah, what about you, Brandon? What have you been playing?
I've really only been playing Battlegrounds. I kind of lost my I was playing Hearthstone pretty consistently for a long time there, and I've just fallen so hard off of Hearthstone, and it's really the first time in like a couple years, because I've been pretty involved in Hearthstone since it came out. So I don't know what's going on there, but something with Hearthstone right now is just not doing it for me. But Battlegrounds has been filling that gap, so I've been playing a little bit. We played some yesterday. I actually got a win, another dinner with Tomb and,
Nice.
and some other folks, so that was fun. Yeah, I've just been still enjoying Battlegrounds a lot. You know, the I think over time the little things kind of grate on you a bit. You know, there are still definitely some rough patches, especially with like the tick rate on the servers and the desync. Like
Yeah.
as you come to find out more about the game's architecture, sometimes that kind of I would say breaks the immersion a bit when you know more of the technical details and you know that sort of stuff. But
Last week
that's
I
been
got
still good.
stuck in a door. Literally half of me was on one side of the door and another half of me was stuck on the other, just because of like the weird desync. So when I
Yeah.
opened the door, I started walking. When the server synced back, it literally clipped me in half, and I couldn't open the door. So somebody had to like run to my town to open the door so I could get out. It
Yeah,
was pretty awesome.
there's still quite a few pieces that need some polish, and I think that you know they've been doing a pretty good job so far of making the performance better and all that. But I just hope that they keep the momentum that they have now, you know, going, because I think it'll be tough to keep people involved with some of those issues over the long term. But I'm still really enjoying it. You know, they're releasing a new weapon I think this next week. So there's always, I feel like the game is changing so much still that it's like that. It's still kind of that honeymoon phase where it's not like I'm playing every single game to win the game. You know,
Yeah.
you can still have fun, just going in with a group and knowing that like sometimes you just go into a place that you know is going to be heavily populated, and you just say we either make it out or we die quickly. You know, and those kinds of games can be fun too. So I'm still enjoying Battlegrounds a lot. That's been dominating most of my time.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have anything too new as far as games. A lot of Counter-Strike lately. I've been getting back into. I don't know. It's just Counter-Strike's always there, but sometimes it's a little bit less or a little bit more. I've been playing a lot of that. But additionally, I talked about NBA Playgrounds last week, but I played some more of that again this week and did some more grinding. And that game is still really enjoyable. I hear that it just got an update so that you can play some of the multiplayer options a little bit better. So that's pretty good. And that game is just really, I don't know, it's just really fun. It's been a while since I've had a fun arcade sports game to play, and it's a good mix. I said it again last week, but NBA Jam and like NBA Street, it's a good in between. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I've been doing. And again, Katie's is not with us, so I promise. I'm sorry I didn't mention it earlier, but he's not here.
Dark Souls, Rocket League, Smash Bros.
I feel like I should fill this in. Yeah, Dark Souls, Weeb shit,
Persona.
Persona. Yeah. What else? What else would KD's have been playing? Those are the main ones.
He found another obscure Dark Souls mod, so he's replaying the entire game.
Exactly. But let's real quick. We've been talking about this every week, and we will until it happens. But Extra Life is happening August 18th, 19th, and 20th. The big LAN that we do every single year. This year it is August 18th, 19th, and 20th. So again, just mark it in your calendar. Hopefully, have a little bit of money that you could donate during that to not only win some prizes, but help out a bunch of different hospitals and a bunch of sick kids. So just going to keep reminding you on that. And yeah, of course, check out KBMOD.com for other content reviews, the build guides. Have we done build guides in a while? I always say the build guides, but has there been? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, our build guides are slightly out of date.
Slightly out of date? Okay.
Slightly out of date.
Hopefully for a new build guide at some point.
Yeah, I actually did do a custom build guide for someone the other day, so I should just take the reins back. We'll do build guides. If you want to see us do build guides, make sure to tweet at us.
Thumbs up this video and subscribe.
Yeah, make sure to sub to our Twitch channel. Leave us an iTunes review.
Yeah. I was going to say subscribe for $24.99 and get the new emotes. You can do that.
Oh yeah. I mean, that is something that's going on in KBMOD. That would be relevant for this section.
That is.
If people care, if you stop by the Twitch channel, we have some tiered emotes. So
yes,
if you want to support our content, that's a good way to do it. And also, I should mention, KD is apparently watching the stream as
Oh,
he's delinquent from appearing on the stream. But
oh okay.
he
But he's
says
watching.
Fire Emblem. So,
Oh, okay. Is what he's
So
so
weed
he's
shit. Okay.
there we go. Got it. All right.
somehow I'm now doubting his excuse for missing the cast. But
He's gonna send me a picture of where you are. It's gonna be like a club somewhere in Indiana. God damn it, Katie. All right. Very cool. Well, let's jump into some news here, and I'd say this news is news that should kick off our section because it was pretty big. There was the Destiny 2 gameplay.
Brad, you said you were trying to find a game to play.
I did.
Here
Yeah,
it
Brad,
is.
you did. So, okay. Well, we'll get into that. But I don't know. Did you guys watch the reveal? I saw some of it. I was out during a lot of it, so I had to catch up after the fact. But
I watched a little bit of it, just some of the some of the trailer and stuff.
Yeah. What did you? I mean, there was a lot of cringy stuff as always with a lot of this. Which again, I mean, that's just kind of unavoidable depending on how you set it up. But the big win and the news and the reason we're talking about it for this podcast is that it's going to be on the PC and it's going to be through BattleNet, which is, I think, pretty dang smart actually, because
really smart.
Yeah,
really smart.
Were you surprised by that, Brandon and Brad? I was kind of surprised by that.
I was surprised just because I'm surprised because they call it BattleNet again. So it's like they just tried to do this rebranding thing where it's now they've just taken off all the BattleNet badging and now everything's like Blizzard Launcher and all that stuff.
Right.
And now they're calling it BattleNet again. So that's
true.
That's peculiar, but I mean I think it is a good decision, but it did surprise me because, obviously BattleNet is Blizzard's platform and has only ever been Blizzard's games. But I think it's like, it clearly makes sense for a massive online multiplayer game that is published by the same parent company as Blizzard to utilize their infrastructure. And, I mean, the BattleNet client is pretty good. Like, it's not perfect, but I would say of all the like company specific launchers, I think that one is the one I dislike the least.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
But yeah, I mean it's they were very careful to say that like this is a one-off exception thing, because they get all the questions about, are you going to have other games on BattleNet? And I sort of believe them when they say that, because I think that Blizzard does seem to have an eye toward quality and not quantity when it comes to like the number of games and an IP they support. So I believe them when I think this is a big enough franchise for them to warrant making an exception. Like this is sort of a Blizzard, it's almost a Blizzard size franchise, with how well Destiny was received. So, but I mean, I guess the question is like, if we ended up seeing a Call of Duty game, that sort of, like we've talked about before, just became, the game Call of Duty, and they sort of updated and changed it, but they stopped doing a yearly release cycle. Could I see a world where Call of Duty is delivered through the BattleNet launcher? I think absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. Like, you're right. They were very careful the way that they worded it, but I mean, it makes sense. Like, if there's a big enough franchise, like you said, Blizzard size, I mean, this does, and Destiny is huge. That makes a lot of sense. One thing I did want to mention, did you happen to see, oh man, I wish I had the clip prepared so I could send it to you, but during one of the interview sections, the devs were asked about dedicated servers by like, two dudes doing the interview, and it's just some of the most cringe, like kind of like hard to watch, because you could tell that they weren't ready to get that question, or I don't know if they thought that question was going to be asked. And so like they kind of shuffle it off onto each other, and then they give this excuse about how like, no, we're not going to have them. And then like you can tell the other guy doesn't want to say why. It's just, anyway, it's a total train wreck. So I know that's one thing that's kind of tempering people's expectations or excitement a little bit. I mean, obviously, I'm depending on if you're really into PvP or if you just want to do kind of the bigger stuff with your friends where it's PvE. Connection, yes, dedicated server is still important. I'm not excusing it and stuff like that, but I don't think that's a guaranteed like that it's going to be a flop or anything like that. But that's a pretty big deal.
It'll all come down to if what the aspirations they have for the game are, and if they want it to, if they want this to be like a kind of esportsy title, or they want it to have some competitive aspects that frankly it didn't really have, like Destiny 1 didn't really have, then they're going to have to cross that bridge pretty quickly. But if they want it to just be similar to Destiny, where it's it's a lot of co-op and the PvP sort of takes a back seat, at least from my point of view. Like I've never played Destiny, but I've watched a bit of it, and it seems like it's mostly kind of the co-op stuff that would really shine through. But if they want it to be competitive at all, like it's gonna have to have dedicated servers. Period. Exactly. So, but it is funny that they didn't maybe seem ready for that question or ready to answer it in a complete form.
Yeah, it was really, the answers were really it was just an excuse, basically. They said they didn't really feel like they wanted to invest their resources into that. But it's just hard for me, like that. I mean, come on, anybody. It's like, anyway. I mean, you can just say it's cheaper, right? It's cheaper. But again, it's like in a world where a game that has this kind of budget behind it, with this kind of money, I don't know.
That's the other thing. Is that like when Destiny is on Battle.net, it's like I wonder. And they sort of clarified this a little bit, that like, Blizzard is basically just running the Battle.net side of things, and they're not running the game itself. Like there's a pretty clear separation of what Blizzard's running and what the dev team on the Bungie side is running. But I think, do you, like, when you have a partnership like that, are they able to utilize, Blizzard's experts there? Because like if any game company is going to understand the importance of something like dedicated servers or how to make a competitive title, I feel like it would be Blizzard. So it's not like they don't have the expertise that they could call on to say, hey, what gives us the best chance for success, especially when we're utilizing your platform.
No, that's a really good point. I think like I'm definitely excited about it, because I didn't Destiny was only on console previously. I didn't play it myself, but I know that the game kind of came out, people were really disappointed, and then subsequently like they added a lot of content to it, and it's kind of I think for a lot of people some opinions have changed. I know some people that still feel very strongly that the offering wasn't what they expected, and it was way more grindy than they thought it was going to be, and just a lot of repetition. But a lot of people like that grind, you know what I mean? So now that we know what Destiny is as a kind of a franchise, like I've never been someone that really enjoys the grind all that much. So it's like, but in a group setting, I might more. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because so it's like for me, I'm definitely intrigued. I'll probably end up picking it up in some form and trying to play it with a group. I just don't know if it'll grab me or not.
It seems like the type of game that I would be into, and really the only reason that I didn't try it at all was because it wasn't on PC. So. Right. All signs point to this being worth me trying out. But I think the one thing actually that does give me some hope, or like more hope than I might have had otherwise, is I think the implicit message with Destiny 2 being on Battle.net is that Destiny 2 is a game that's in it for the long haul, and like they're not looking to have a Destiny 3. Because that's not the way Blizzard does things, right? Blizzard does not churn out sequels. They build on the games that are there. So I wonder if, obviously we don't know the behind the scenes, but I wonder if there's sort of some understanding or agreement that, look, you're not gonna put out Destiny 2 and that's just a one-off until Destiny 3, because if we're from the Blizzard side, if they're gonna put it in their launcher, Destiny 2's got to have a long lifespan, because like there's literally, you can count on like one hand the number of games that are in the Battle.net launcher right now.
Yeah.
So that makes me that's where like Blizzard's reputation here maybe helps them out, because when I buy a game on Battle.net, I have this trust that that game's going to have a long lifespan, and they're not going to just try and churn out a sequel next year.
All right. Well, the other thing in regards to this news is that it's definitely going to be coming out after there's no release date for the PC version yet. It's going to be available September 8th for consoles. So they say, we'll definitely have to wait a bit longer. The question is, how long is it going to be? Is it going to be something like GTA levels of wait time? I don't think so. It doesn't seem that vibe from some of the quotes. But
I prefer this though, honestly.
Do you? Okay.
because it's one thing to order a game based off of like press's response to the game, but it's another to like have a game release and see how the diehard fans that picked it up day one like think of it.
That's a good point.
So not only I would assume the delayed launch is to work out bugs and optimization and getting it ready for PC. But I've heard from people saying that they people we know, like Dave Oshry, for instance, he was playing. There's no FPS limiter, stuff like that, and it seemed to run pretty smooth for him.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll be that long, but
yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't even think about the fact that like, I doubt it's going to come out and be a total stinker, but it will be nice to have been out for a while and see from the veterans like what they think of the game. It does give you kind of a little bit more of a, we don't have to rely on fucking, GameSpot or whatever.
How late do you think? How late do you think they would wait? Because like I definitely agree that I don't think it'll be a GTA 5 scenario.
Yeah, no.
But I also
would say a couple months maybe. Like
like I think I could see like Christmas, honestly.
Yeah, I could.
Which I wouldn't necessarily want that, because I think that means that the PC version will play second fiddle to consoles probably for its entire lifespan, right? Because like all the new people on PC are going to basically like all the strats and everything are already going to be figured out. So I think that could sort of dampen the PC launch. But I also don't get the sense, just from the way they're talking, I don't get the sense that this is going to be like 2 weeks after consoles or something.
Yeah, no, I agree. I kind of, I'm in between on it. It doesn't really. I kind of see the side that Brad's saying, and then the side that you're saying too. Like I don't want a GTA level of a delay for something like this. But
what was GTA, like 6 months?
GTA was.
No, it was longer than that. I'm pretty sure.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
GTA was a while.
It was a while, but it was worth it when it came out.
It was.
I guess that's the thing is if the longer the delay, I think the bigger the delivery has to be. And so like, for instance, this dedicated server stuff, like if they were taking some extra time to figure out dedicated servers or whatever, I think there are ways to soothe that PC fan base for having to wait so long. But you would really have to knock it out of the park if it was going to be, more than a few months.
Yeah, definitely. So, we'll definitely keep our eyes on it. And I think it's a game that we all, I don't know, Brad, did you say if it's something that you're going to end up picking up? I know Brandon will definitely try it. But.
Yeah,
I finished the main story for Destiny 1, and once I found out that the rest of the game was just basically
grind,
the same map, just in a different way in a grind, it did not interest me. So
okay. All right.
I'm
starting to wonder, Brandon, if Brad's whole game issue is more with him than the options.
Oh, it definitely is me.
No, I'm just kidding. I know. Just kidding. I just wanted to sound like a dick. Like, Brad, maybe you're just a little too picky, Bradley. No,
maybe stop being a douche, Hutch.
Maybe you should just stop being such a fucking cynic and play a fucking game, Brad. I mean, for a second, and just like it for what it is. No, I'm kidding.
I think you need to maybe you need to stick to a gaming diet. You need to plan your meals for the week. And stick to your diet.
Little bits of a couple different things, and then if those digest properly, maybe longer sessions with those games that you really enjoy.
But have a balanced meal.
All right.
It would not surprise me if you fucking plan out your games for the week,
Brandon.
Yeah, I do. I mean, but the thing is that I don't have a balanced meal. I don't have a balanced meal. It's called I just binge Battlegrounds right now.
Binge Battlegrounds, yeah. Oh man. All right, well, Brad, I'm gonna let you take this next article because you did add it, but I think it is interesting. But you take it away. Talk about this.
There's Newzoo has published something saying that 42% of esport viewers don't play the game that they watch, which I find startling because, first of all,
surprising number.
So it's like, I don't know. I didn't really, to be completely honest, I didn't necessarily go through this, but I had a hard time finding out how they did this survey, which, from what I understand, is a popular trend with Newzoo. But
how they're mining their data is
Yeah.
possibly questionable.
But it's pretty interesting data and a bold claim to state that only 60% of people that watch esports actually play the game. So
That's another one in there.
Both sides is pretty interesting to me to say that 42% of people watching do not play. Like, so I want to know, who are the people that are watching a Dota match
that don't play the game?
Yeah,
I totally agree. Some of these numbers, I mean, again, does it say exactly how they source? I'm trying to find the.
I think the question I would have, and maybe it's split out in this report somewhere, but are these people who have never played the game, or are these people who don't actively play the game? Because I think those are two big distinctions for me. And like, this doesn't really surprise me if it's people who don't actively play the game, because I, for example, do not often play football, but I watch football. Sure. Like, I've played football before, and I know all the rules of the game. I know how football is played, so I can enjoy the viewing experience. And I view that as fairly analogous to something like CS:GO, where I've played a lot of CS:GO. I'm very familiar with how CS:GO works, but I don't really play it that much these days, just because I'm playing other things. I just don't, for whatever reason, I don't play it, but I'll still watch it, and I can still enjoy it just as much as anything else, because I understand how the game works. And so I don't think this is that uncommon. But if it's like people who have never played the game and they're watching, that's maybe a little weirder to me.
Yeah, definitely. Some of these numbers do kind of stand out. But when you it's a good point making the analogy about something like again, not that esports are perfectly analogous to traditional sports, because you run into a lot of problems doing that, but there are some things that they do share. And I think football, like, that's another good example. People in chat are talking about CS:GO. A lot of people in chat don't necessarily play the game, but it's a very easy esport to follow, because it's like, you can understand the rules very, very easily watching it. Where something like Dota and League, like, I would never watch. Like, those are harder for me to understand, because like League in general, I never watched League before I played it. Once I played it, then I watched a shit ton of League. But you almost have to have played the game for those MOBAs to I don't know,
just to understand builds, just champions,
understand anything.
Team comp, strategy. I mean, there's nothing like, other than like, oh, pretty, a gank is going, like,
right. No, I mean, I remember I used to go before I would go to PAXs and stuff, and they'd have League events, and I would go and watch it and be like, people are excited. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I couldn't tell you. That fairy looking thing just hit that tree looking guy who had a sapling come out of him. Like, that's not sexual. That became sexual. But so for those games, but I think you're right, Brandon. The distinction between ever played and actively played is huge. Because
I think if I'm looking at this correctly, their definition of a viewer only or of a player would be that they've played that specific game in the past 3 months. So that would be like, that doesn't really surprise me then, because 3 months is frankly a pretty short period of time. Especially as your gaming interests change. Like, CS:GO doesn't change very much in 3 months. It changes a lot maybe year over year. Dota and League change a lot year over year. But I think in 3 months, like, just because I'm not actively playing League, and that wouldn't fit the definition of a player here, like, that doesn't mean that I've lost interest in that franchise entirely. And so I don't know. I think in this is one specific way where esports does sort of mirror traditional sports in the way that, like, people's viewing preferences don't necessarily mean they spend all their time playing and perfecting their own skill at that pastime. Like, they can still watch something that they're not actively playing. Because I think, frankly, traditional sports are like the perfect analogy here, because, like, how often are people who watch baseball going out and playing baseball? Like, probably never, because no one plays baseball.
Well, about nobody, but okay. All right, I'm gonna have to question that data, but okay, fair enough. Okay. Wow, Brennan just shit on baseball. Okay. No
I'm just saying,
there.
like people
Yeah.
look at how many people watch baseball.
But yeah.
And like I don't know anyone who goes out and like hits the batting cages.
I mean, if you're if you're playing in little league though, or college or high school,
Brandon, you're not in your 30s yet, where you're going to be doing the city softball leagues yet. So just
that's true. Yeah,
calm down. Just wait. Your time will come.
You're right. Maybe that analogy actually works too. Like there are people that play softball who would never watch a baseball game. Those are the purists.
That's a good point. Yeah. So anyway, take the article, I guess, with a grain of salt. The data is interesting and makes some pretty, I guess on surface pretty bold claims. But
if I'm looking at this graph correctly, it looks like Counter-Strike actually has the most dedicated like viewers out of like viewers that aren't players. If I'm looking at this graph correctly, and that makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is how Overwatch is less than like, let's say, something like League of Legends. Because generally I assume when people watch something like Counter-Strike, the objective is just, sorry if you hear the train, to kill or plant the bomb. It's pretty easy. You watch Counter-Strike and it's like, okay, I understand what's happening here. But League and Dota, you can't exactly just, get that without some extended watching, especially Hearthstone. That doesn't surprise me how Hearthstone has that share there.
Yeah, and also, I mean, for Overwatch specifically, having such a high percentage of people who only play the game and don't watch it is also kind of a symptom of that competitive scene being a little more nascent, and not having, there's not an Overwatch tournament every single weekend. There's not always something to watch. So, yeah, I mean, I think like gaming is just it's different because like there are also, as your gaming tastes change, there are a lot more things to play than there are things to watch. So, even though I'm into, let's say, Battlegrounds right now, there's not like competitive Battlegrounds to be watching every single weekend. Whereas I may not play League, but there's a League tournament every single weekend, right? Because that circuit is going all the time. There's a CSGO tournament really often. So it's like you have to pick what you want to watch, and that is not always going to align with what you're playing, because what is available in a high quality competitive format to watch, it's a much smaller subset of games.
Yeah. No, that is definitely true. So anyway, I know, Brad, you wanted to touch base on that. And I guess, like you said, on the surface, it's not like rocket science. Like, I mean, again, the analogy to real sports is definitely there, but I don't know. Part of it too, it just frustrates me. Like, esports is kind of this thing that's been around for a long time. And recently it's like over the last 5 or whatever plus years, it's kind of the buzzword of like code for like, we can make a shit ton of money. This is an esports friendly game, which is fine, which I understand. It's helped grow the game a lot. And there's been a lot of good examples of good esports titles. I think CSGO is a great one with its spec client, and there's lots of other games too. But it is, we're getting to the point that is the bubble. I wouldn't say the bubble's gonna burst, but everyone's getting into the scene. We've got like NBA getting involved with the NBA 2K18 or 2K17 game league. We've got Overwatches and Blizzard are doing their own league. Which is all fine and stuff like that. But as all this new investment money and stuff continues to come into the sport, is it possible that, again, not that the bubble is going to burst, but it's setting up a certain kind of expectation that I'm not sure esports needs to have, you know what I mean, on it. I don't know. It's
becoming a lot more commercialized. But I don't know that the business model for all of those commercial ventures is always super sound. And so trying to, like you mentioned, the NBA 2K League, trying to like kickstart that, and turn that into a legit esport overnight. Maybe it can be done, but I don't know that I think it's far from guaranteed, because you look at the 5 games on this list, and they're largely, the community decided they were going to be popular.
Exactly. It's like people hear esports, and like what I'm saying, when they hear money, and then it's like at the top, they're like, oh, okay, well, we have a game that's actually a real sport, so let's just add an E in front of it and make a league, and it's an easy money machine. Look at all the money. And then, but you're right, they don't understand the complexities or the reason, like you said, these communities make these games esports, or these games are built from the ground up to be competitive in a form that is good to watch, right? And I'm not saying that NBA 2K isn't a good game or fun to watch, but it traditionally, your actual sports games have never been big esports games.
Yeah.
So to just try to force that again, who knows? Maybe it will work. It's anyway, and because esports has been around a long time and it's gone through its ups and its downs. It's definitely at its peak. It's never been as big as it is now. But
Scott, would you say
plenty of room for people
would
to
you say
fail.
that over the last 20 years, gaming has rapidly evolved into a favorite pastime of consumers, and the single most favorite pastime for digital natives or young millennials?
Oh my God, what a quote! I would actually. I would. Who said that though? That was beautiful.
Newzoo said that in this
Oh,
report.
That sounds like a perfect
That is
like
a
somebody
quote.
setting up SEO on their fucking page or something.
Young
Like just like
digital natives or young millennials. That's how you know this report's serious.
Wow, what a serious. That's wow. That I can almost hear himself slap the author slapping himself on the back
young
for
millennial? I don't. At what point are you no longer a young millennial and you're just a millennial or an old millennial?
how old are you again?
Switch over.
What? I don't even know the age range for millennial.
I'm 30. Well, gonna be 30. Brand's 20.
Millennials, I thought was like 1980s and on.
Yeah, you might be right. That's the thing, is what is a young millennial? I don't even know. Oh well.
So many buzzwords in this. This guy's gonna give himself a bee sting, dude. All right, let's move on to some quick hits here, and one of you guys can take the Threadripper by Ryzen, a monster CPU with 16 cores and 32 threads. I think you were tweeting about this a bit, Brad. Were you when this was revealed? I feel like it was your timeline that was blowing up. Maybe
No, it wasn't me.
okay. Who was it? Somebody that looked like you. Maybe I follow an imposter, Brad. Possible. Oh yeah, his name is Z. Oh my God, it's Hutch. He was the one blowing up.
Oh,
I get the Hutch's confused.
I imagine he is definitely tweeting about this. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Basically, AMD unveiled what they're calling their EPYC processors. EPYC spelled like a cool EPYC, by the way.
Why?
That's why.
Why are they doing
No,
that?
that's yeah. Why? 32 cores, 64 threads, which is pretty impressive, I guess.
Well, I think that's a data center processor, though.
It is, yes,
Yeah.
but that's their EPYC one. But rumor has it, just because AMD whipped it out with the last Ryzen release, Intel supposedly is rumored to release a new line of processors, which they've been quote unquote holding back for a while. So,
well, you didn't even talk about what AMD is doing. They're supposedly going to release a new consumer Ryzen CPU this summer.
Right?
Called Threadripper, codename Threadripper. 16 cores, 32 threads.
Whoever's writing this stuff is
yeah,
like Ryzen.
AMD, yeah, the people naming things over at AMD, they're really going pretty wild. You got the Ryzen CPU, you got codename Threadripper. I mean, these are some very serious names. But we've got.
Oh, sorry, you guys were done with that topic. I slipped out for a second, but yes, no, I was going to second you on the seriousness of the. It sounds like you don't want to get caught in this thing's wake, dude. You just will get tore up. These are aggressive words.
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what they, especially what price point this launches at. I mean, 16 cores, you're clearly targeting very high end PCs.
Right.
Because frankly, I think most applications don't need 16 cores. So this is like, I want to be optimistic about this, but also this could also be just be a miss, because if it doesn't have good single threaded performance, then it's not going to matter. Like, that's where Intel has always whipped AMD is on single-threaded applications, and like games and a lot of other applications can't take advantage of like 16 cores. So, but it is exciting to see them getting in that high-end market, to compete with Intel.
Even in their marketing slide there at the top of this article we're looking at, in the background is a transparent Premiere Pro timeline.
Right.
I mean, so the audience is clear there in my mind, at least. But
yeah, well, and it's clear they're going for the gaming audience too, where like gamers, streamers, people that want just the high-end CPUs, right? Even if you don't use it all the time, you might use it enough that it warrants getting a really high-end CPU. And right now, I think those PCs are being built with Intel chips. So it's a shot across the bow, because AMD has always played the value game to Intel's high-end game. This is, maybe trying to change that conversation. But like you were mentioning, Brad, Intel potentially kind of shooting back, because they're actually going to, I don't know if we talked about this, but they're actually going to start naming, like they're going to segment their name schemes to have an i9 line of processors, which is going to be their high-end processors, which frankly I'm very happy about, because one of the things that really annoys me is when someone says, "Oh yeah, my PC is great. I have an i7," and like that could mean an i7 920, which is years old. Like, or it could mean an i7 7700K, which is, a top of the line processor. So I hate that, like, the i7 brand, people, the average consumer thinks i7, and they think it's, it's just this amazing thing. And it's like, no, the i7 brand means nothing, because if an i7 generation from like 4 years ago, then that's not current tech. So the i9 branding maybe will help with that. That if you have an i9 processor, then all right, now we know you're actually talking about something real.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of something real, what could be more real than a Netflix TV series? Well, okay, maybe that's not a real tangible thing.
Nice try on the segue.
I tried, but not just a Netflix TV series. I mean, we know those exist; those are real. But how about one that?
How about a series with real people in it?
There it is. There, I knew we would get there. I knew we would. You saved me on that one, Brennan. Thank you. The Witcher is coming to Netflix as a TV series, and I mean, we know obviously Netflix, huge budgets. Generally, their originals, or whatever adapted originals, are well produced and good content. So hopefully, that'll be the same for this. Though I mean, obviously, game adaptations, in general, when it comes to movies and stuff, because my whole argument is like, why are we making fucking game? Anyway, that's a whole nother question for another day. But I don't know. Obviously, this was a book series before it was a game anyway. So are you guys excited about this? I don't know, Brandon, did you play? I forget if you played much of The Witcher.
I played some of it. I actually am pretty excited for this because I think there are a few things going for it that are really positive. One, like you mentioned, it is a book. It's got book lineage. Exactly. So there's more backstory there than just the game itself. Mm-hmm. Which I think is, it bodes well for this sort of thing, right? A lot of good TV series have been based on books because they have a lot of reference material. Right. And then the other thing is, I just think in general, like The Witcher is well suited for like a Netflix original style series because it's it's mature enough that I think it falls into what I want from a series like that. It's gonna have like violence, it's gonna have the sex, it's gonna have all the things you want from those Netflix originals. And like look at Game of Thrones, right? Like this, The Witcher is kind of The Witcher is kind of similar in theme to a Game of Thrones style atmosphere. So I think it could be really good. Like obviously we won't know until it actually gets made, but I think that they're starting with a lot of advantages for a show like this. So I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah. I'm looking at this article. Wasn't the author just previously bitching about how people knew the Witcher series from the video game and not the books, and now he's like
he's probably less upset now.
I'm thrilled that Netflix will be doing adaptation of my stories. It's like
Now people are only going to know that they're going to be like, yo, the Netflix series, The Witcher, have you seen it? He's like, it's a fucking book, bitch. He's going to get real mad. Like me. Yeah, it's like me with certain things or with Coheed. Like, people be like, you mean the band that was on Rock Band? I'm like, shut the anyway, I get mad. But it's
I'm gonna guess that he probably didn't include the like movie rights to the book when he sold the video game rights to CD Projekt Red. So I'm gonna guess he probably is really thrilled.
Yes,
because I'm sure it's a huge payday for that guy. But yeah, I think it's a good universe for a TV show, especially like the game itself has enough storylines that you could just like literally recreate those in live action if you wanted to.
Exactly. All right. I'm gonna let you try. Does anybody want to try this segue before I try it?
No, I think this one was specifically for you, if I understand.
Oh, this was a Minecraft story in here. Absolutely.
Did you not put this one in the document?
No, believe it or not, this wasn't. This wasn't
sure?
mine. Yeah, I'm 100% sure. I actually just read it, and it triggered me even reading about the retardedness of the fucking Minecraft world. The children might actually feed their parents chocolate chip cookies, which is toxic. So we're gonna change the. I'll just summarize the story for you. Fucking, you feed parrots cookies in Minecraft, okay? And someone pointed out that maybe this is not safe because if somebody's, parent has a parrot and they give it chocolate chips, then it could potentially hurt the bird or kill the bird. So Mojang is going to be changing the cookies to something else. And that's it. That's your story. That's it. That's all there is to it. And I'm fucking triggered. Are you happy, Brad?
You're not going to mention the part where it was a subtle reference to Nirvana's song Polly?
Oh yes, that's right. That's originally why it was chocolate chip cookies, right? So,
thank you, Scott.
Was that good? Did I summarize the story?
I'm enlightened. Thank you. Now I know.
That's great.
I like the subheading. Mojang accepts concerns that children might imitate the game's dangerous avian diet.
Oh my god, it's so fucking pretentious. It's trying to doctor up a non-story about fucking mongoloids that play anyway. No, I'm not mongoloids. I get it. People love Minecraft. It's a very creative game. It's an amazing sandbox that has done a lot for gaming. It's amazing. Let's talk more about it.
As much as this is kind of a silly story, it actually is like, I think there is a conversation where it's like, because this game, you have such young kids playing it. Yeah. This is, we think it's dumb, but this is actually like, this may be a real concern, right? If you're like a young kid who doesn't have a full understanding of how the world works, you might accidentally feed your real parrot a chocolate chip cookie, which obviously is like bad for the bird. So that's interesting. Interesting in that, like, I think I don't think about the consequences of like children's games and how they're made. Yeah. But you do sort of have to think more directly about the things you put into this virtual world, because they sort of are shaping, they're shaping someone's mind in the way that me playing Minecraft is not shaping my mind.
Yep.
I'm just glad that they took this issue to Reddit. And
honestly though,
37,000 people upvoted this. And,
if you want something done, if you want anything done in this world, you put it on Reddit, and chances it's not a guarantee, but you have a better chance. As much as I like to mock the Reddit threads, I have to say they can be powerful. No, and I get it too. I'm being a little bit over the top.
The Reddit thread is like very reasonable.
It is.
It's like, it's a pretty small change, but it could actually, because of just the sheer number of like young children that play this game, I honestly would not be surprised if this one little thing, if literally like 5 birds have died from this or something, some number that is actually like really small on a global level. But I honestly would not be surprised if a young kid thought that, like, hey, I can feed my bird this cookie, and they actually did it and it died. But yeah, maybe Mojang is actually going to save lives. You ever think about that, Scott?
That's true. I didn't think about it that way. But I mean, considering Minecraft raises like half of the country at this point, then I shouldn't be surprised that something like this is like it is like there's Minecraft, Pampers diapers, and like Gerber baby food. like literally, like Minecraft is in that tier as far as like in the home. So I get it. Fair enough.
Minecraft themed diapers.
I mean, if they haven't done it yet, I would be shocked. But yeah, start them real young. What about a picture of Notch's face that says "sellout" on the ass part where the baby poops, or like where the shit hits the inside of the diaper with his mouth open, and it says maybe a quote from him about how he'll never sell out or something like that.
And then the inside is like r/the_Donald.
Now that's brilliant, Brad.
That's a remarkably political message to put on a diaper.
Incredible. I think we're starting. It's getting a little crazy. Oh man. Okay. Well, we're gonna move into the new releases, and I'm gonna give this to I'm gonna kick this over to Brandon because I think he's filling in for KD, or maybe it's Brad. I'm not sure.
I did the honors.
Okay.
That's why our new release section is a little bit more scant than usual.
Okay. Sure.
But we do have a few. I mean, basically, what I mean is that we're missing the the weeb garbage that might end up here normally.
A noticeable lack of weeb stuff in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the thing is, KD does a good job of going through and seeing some of the kind of the diamonds in the rough. Whereas I kind of just looked at the more well-known titles for this week. Because I don't quite have that eye that he has for spotting quality in the indie scene. But we have a few games coming out this week. Obviously, many games come out every week, but here are 3 that are maybe worth talking about. The first one comes out on May 23rd. That's on Tuesday. Steel Division Normandy 44, which looks kind of interesting. It's published by Paradox. And it's like a real-time strategy game.
Yep.
Obviously set in 1944, I would guess.
Yeah, from the title.
So I don't know too much about the series, but I mean, I love RTS games, and I will say, unfortunately, that many of these screenshots do not look like they were taken from in-game because I do not see a UI. They are very pretty screenshots. They're very cinematic. My guess is they do not represent actual gameplay.
Can I say the one UI screenshot that I see looks much less impressive compared to all of the others? Like, again,
it looks like a real-time strategy game.
It does. It looks like The
other ones, in my real-time strategy game, how much time do I really spend on the road looking next to my one tank driving away? Not that much time in a real-time strategy game.
No.
But anyway, that if you're an RTS fan and you like the World War II setting, this looks like a competent RTS game. So check that out if you like. That's available for $40. Looks like, with a deluxe edition that's $60. So $40 seems reasonable. It's got very positive reviews so far. Guessing that some people probably already have access to it. Next up, this is one that I've I think a lot of people have seen, because of the very gory trailer that has appeared. Like, honestly, the trailer has been kind of off-putting with like how gory it is, because they show what are basically, it's like the equivalent of fatalities. So this is like a what is this game like? It's like a survival. It's what am I trying to compare this to? It's very similar to I forget the name of the game, but it was popular on Twitch for a little while. Where basically you have it's kind of Evolve style, where you have Jason is one player, and then there are I guess 3 or 4 players trying to get away from him. I don't really know that much about the gameplay right now. All I know is that it is apparently possible for Jason to do these incredibly vicious fatalities.
Yeah.
And they're, I mean, frankly, pretty disturbing.
I played I don't know if it was was a closed beta or closed
Mhm.
alpha. I don't know. I think I got you a key, Scott. I don't know if you ever played, but
I didn't end up playing. I watched a bit of it. It looked pretty janky. Looked, I don't know, looked
it was
okay.
janky. It was very
But
janky.
yeah,
And I would not pay $40 for this.
no, not from what I saw. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a while. That was a while ago. That was what, 4 or 5 months ago. That was in that closed beta was around.
Yeah.
So
it
it'll be
strikes
interesting to
me
see
as
what they've
it
done.
strikes me as a game that may be worth waiting to, see what the reviews are like and see if there are some patches. Like, this just strikes me as a game that could have some issues on launch, especially since my guess is it's only going to be a game you really play multiplayer. I'm not sure if there's a single player component.
No, it's all multiplayer. So basically,
Yeah.
everybody gets into a lobby. You pick, if you were a Jason, what kind of Jason you would want to be. And then once you get into the game, it randomly picks, if I recall correctly, who's Jason. And you have to try and make it out alive. And that's either finding car parts to make sure that you can get in a car and run away, or call the police, or I don't remember what else you could do, but there's different ways you can get out of camp, basically. And I don't know. It was
the game I was thinking of was Dead by Daylight. It seems kind
Oh
of similar to
yes,
that one.
right.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think the comparisons are. I think the map's a lot bigger than the Dead by Daylight maps, but yeah, similar idea to that game for sure.
Yeah, so I would say check out the trailer, just because, I mean, I think if you're buying this game, you're buying it because it is very gruesome. Like, it is one of the most gruesome trailers that I've seen. And like, gore doesn't bother me normally, but this is definitely kind of skirting the line of even what I would want to see. So, yeah, $40
Brandon,
seems maybe.
okay. I don't really hear Brandon ever really shocked by anything. This is.
I mean, you have you watched the
I've seen the
trailer?
I've seen it. I mean, it's definitely like edgy and violent for the sake of.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's gratuitous, and it
is,
doesn't
for sure.
it doesn't bother me, but it gets close. I mean, like ripping jaws off, and like boring a hole in someone's chest. I mean, these are definitely a little gratuitous compared to your run of the mill shooting style games. But yeah, $40 seems maybe a little pricey for a multiplayer only game with no established pedigree. But if you're in a Dead by Daylight, it seems like it seems pretty similar to that. Last up on our list, we have Vanquish, which is this is like a remaster of a title that I never played, but I do recall hearing about it. And if you listen to Sega, so it's published by Sega. If you listen to them, it is their revolutionary sci-fi action shooter, slide boosting onto PC.
Ooh, slide boosting.
So for anyone who's played Vanquish, this version has a fully unlocked frame rate, HD resolutions going up to 4K. Got to get that 4K in there. So yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's a remaster. It looks like it is $20, available on May 25th. So check that out if you're looking to play Vanquish on PC. Get some of that nostalgia in. And that's it for our new releases section.
All right. Thank you for that, Brandon. We're going to jump into our viewer questions here. And our first one comes from Twitter, from T_space36. And he asks a good one. He says, where do you store an opened ketchup bottle? In the fridge or in the pantry? And then he says, same question for peanut butter, fridge or pantry. And I think, honestly, there's really only one right answer for both of these. So I will be judging both of you depending on what you answer. But
this has an objective answer, but it is important for anyone who doesn't know the objective answer to hear this question so they know for the future.
Exactly.
So who goes
Brandon,
first?
what about you?
Go ahead.
So open ketchup bottle you store in the fridge.
100% accurate.
Open peanut butter you store in the pantry.
Agreed. Brad, do you deviate from
those
that?
are just facts.
No, I agree.
Okay. I don't. Is there people that don't do that? Or am I?
That's what I was wondering.
Leave ketchup out
Do people leave ketchup out? Really? Huh.
I get. Well,
Just
I
think
guess
of any diner that you go to.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I
I guess you
guess
can.
restaurants would leave it out. But yeah, I always put it in the fridge.
Same. Once I open it.
Especially because, I mean, ketchup is not something that differs really in taste depending on whether it's cold or, or room temperature.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But yeah, I've always put I guess my parents always put open ketchup in the fridge, and so I've just, followed that tradition. I guess you don't have to. But
this all depends on like what kind of ketchup and peanut butter you get though, because like
no,
my thing is,
hold on.
Wait,
you don't put
what
peanut
flavor do
butter
you
in the
have to put
fridge.
it- Doesn't
You
it
don't
just change the texture and get hard? What?
no, there's some like all natural stuff that you're supposed
Oh,
to.
fuck off with the all natural peanut butter, dude.
Same with
Fuck
ketchup
off.
too. So like, I don't know.
You don't need to put peanut butter in the fridge.
I mean, again, yeah, I guess you can get versions of everything that you
I'm
could
just
do
saying,
other stuff
yes.
with. Yeah.
I mean, you could put it in the fridge, but you don't need to.
Well, it's like soy sauce. Did you know, or not soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, like, which is basically soy sauce with like some additives. But like, I didn't know until like last week that you're supposed to keep it in the fridge. Like they suggest to keep it in the fridge. And I always thought you just like put it in the cupboard like everything else. So.
For you guys, which is it more of a premium, fridge space or pantry space?
That's a good question. That's really tough. I think I probably value fridge space more personally. Though no, I feel like
if you've got like a big house, you probably have a bunch of pantry space.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, in an apartment, I actually would say pantry because that is always the thing.
I've lived in some apartments with really small pantries.
Yeah, no, totally. I think I would have to say pantry, especially.
I mean, I live in a bigger place now. Even my pantry space is like pretty filled. So
yeah.
I think normally my fridge space is at more of a premium because you just there are so many things that you just leave in there, right? So like a lot of different types of sauce and mayonnaise and dressing and all sorts of things. Like you basically take up the whole door of your fridge just with sauce that you want to use every now and then.
Yeah.
I've never ran out of shelf space though for like condiments and stuff like that.
But, in the fridge. Yeah. I mean, I guess I would say fridges, you can get pretty creative, even if you have like a big shopping trip or something like that. If you have a lot of stuff, you can generally, I mean, you can have a pretty packed fridge, but I definitely run out of pantry space at my place more than a fridge. Okay, well that's good. I'm glad.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt for something from chat, but Paul says I don't have to keep a lot of stuff cold. I have a 45-pound bag of pretzels in a burlap sack of
What a wow. 45-pound of.
I mean, that is one way to avoid needing a whole lot of fridge space.
That's amazing.
His answer was unsurprisingly pantry space for what he values more. So,
hey man, you buy in bulk.
Hey, I'm not judging, dude. Makes sense. If you're gonna eat it all,
he's just eating efficiently.
Yeah,
I would say if you can get through a 45-pound bag of Doritos before those like the pretzels at the bottom, or I'm sorry, 45 bag of pretzels, pound bag of pretzels before the pretzels at the bottom go stale. Yeah, that is impressive.
That's insanely impressive if you can do that. All right. Well, thank you for your question, T-Space. Suros6, speaking of weebs, even though Katie's not here, we've got Suros coming. At what point does the sequel number become unattractive to look at in the title? For me, 5 is the cutoff point. At that, it looks ugly. So that's a good question. My answer is actually...
I think it's 3 for me.
I was just going to say, for me, it's actually 4. Like if I see, if we're just talking about aesthetically, like pleasing, I don't know if that really is ever a factor for me. Like, do I think the thing's going to be good or bad? If I see a 4 on the movie, I assume that it's jumped the ship. Like, because there's a lot of 3s in series that like the third one's still good. Can you name that many? I mean, there are, but if it's something that's gone to a 4th, I feel like most of the time it's like either so far removed from what the original was that it's its own garbage, or they just kept going and it should have died a long time ago. I don't know. That's why 4 for me, but I can see what you're saying about. Are you talking about 3 aesthetically, like the way it looks?
Let's see. Now I'm like second guessing myself because I would have to agree. I think aesthetically, 4 is probably the cutoff. I don't know. But,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Just in general, though, I think usually the third one's probably the roughest in a lot of series.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, here's where I fall. It depends on the title of the game. Okay, so if you can, I think, the first one, obviously you don't really have a numeral typically. The second one, you just call that one whatever 2, right? Because that's the first sequel. It's not a big deal. 3 is where it starts to get, it's like, all right, you're just adding numbers at this point. But 3, if you have an E in the name, it's easy. You just put the 3 in place of the E, right? So Destiny 3. Destiny 3, if they make a Destiny 3 and it's not D3 STINY, I don't know what they're doing, right? That's just you've screwed up the perfect marketing.
It's very easy.
Same thing with a 4 and an A, right? It's not perfect, but if you have an A in the name, you just put the 4 in the name itself, right? Same thing with 5, but maybe a little bit less. 5 and an S is like not quite the same.
Yeah.
So I would say my hard cutoff is probably 5, because like I think 3 and 4 can fit in the title depending on the letters in the title.
Well, notice how like if we're looking at video games, when I hear 4, I immediately go to COD 4 because.
Okay.
Do you mean C4LL of Duty?
Oh man.
See?
They did, and they didn't do that for Call of Duty.
They didn't, but it would have worked.
No,
God damn it.
no
I wish I could see Brad's face right now. I feel like he's so
pretty.
angry.
It's not pretty. I'll play them.
Yeah, that is interesting. Brandon just going full troll here. But yeah, it really depends. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule and stuff. I don't know, just for me in general. I don't know, I guess one argument you go, well, if they got to 4 or 5 movies, like there must be something there. But then you realize that doesn't mean quality, of course. So I mean, there's so many things that just go too long. I don't know. I just figure like, man, we're really making 4 of these, and then I mean, like obviously this franchise is.
If we're just talking pure aesthetics of the numbers in the title, like what can turn into good cover art or something,
right? Exactly.
I think like 2, 3, and 4 all seem fine to me. 5 is not a pretty number necessarily. Right. Like, how do you fit 5 in the title? And I think we don't have enough examples of ones past that, like 6, 7, 8.
Right. You know what you do if you're Battlefield is once you get past 4, you just go back to 1.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. That's what I mean. Is like we haven't really seen. I think like an 8 could look good in a title, but I don't have really enough examples of that because it's pretty rare. Yeah. I think the easy answer though is no double digits. Like double digits is out of hand.
Yeah.
Unless again you can fit the digits in the title. So like if you have the 10th one and you have an L and an O, done. You just put the 10 in the title itself.
Luncer just did one with Gran Turismo, man, using 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And just
see, it's easy.
That is sexy.
Just saying, that's how you get people on board with your sequel, is when you put it in the name. Like I heard someone else say this, that like Splatoon 2, the fact that they didn't make it Splatoon with the 2 in the name, it's ridiculous.
No,
fire your marketing person.
No, I think keep them and do not hire Brandon.
Do not have him nuke your franchise.
Far away as possible.
Wow.
How are you going to tell me that like Splatoon with the 2 taking over the T, that's not a pretty title? The SEO does all the work itself, right? There's nothing ever going to be called that again in the world. You think I'm crazy?
I mean,
I might as well just like, if I'm the marketing person, if I've already picked that as the name, might as well bundle a fucking Trilby with the pre-order for Splatoon.
Yeah, I'm looking at how you just put it out there. I mean, It's not. That's actually not too bad. Splatoon is not a bad example of what you're trying
No.
to say. I could see that.
And this one,
Splatoon's not too
I'm
bad.
just the Splatoon one doesn't even go with my original point. I'm
Yeah,
just saying
that's
that like
true.
I think you can mix in the numerals with the actual title and come
Right.
up with something creative that people actually like and that's kind of
Yeah,
unique.
yeah, exactly. You're right. It doesn't follow the same, but I actually like that one the most that you
Yeah,
just did
yeah, it
with the
looks good.
two
You
to
know.
the T. Actually, hmm.
Yep. So you'll come around. You're
Hmm.
actually
Okay,
you're
I
gonna
don't
when
know.
we get
Maybe
out
more
when
examples,
we get off
Brennan,
the
and
cast,
I
you're gonna
might.
think about this tonight,
I
and like
will.
next week you're gonna come back and you're gonna be like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I think that's right.
Okay, we'll see. Maybe I will. Um, probably not, but maybe. All right. Our next question comes from Will Hull via email, and this was sent last week, but we didn't get to it. So this week we will. And he starts out, "Hello, KB Mob." Yes, you heard that right. KBMOB cast. I come to you with a slightly large pickle. Seems like a personal thing to talk about himself, but either he's talking about his penis size or he has a problem. I don't.
I was
We'll
gonna
find
say
out.
he's like partially erect.
Partially erect. I was listening to some old podcasts and I happened to hear the one with Katie Zen going to Denny's for the first time and enjoying the chicky bourbon skilly and was mighty intrigued by the sound of the meal. The next day, I stumbled into my local. I love that I stumbled. Oh God! The next day, I stumble into my local dentist and turn away the menu, seeing that I was set on what I was going to order. The words "bourbon chicken skillet and a Coke, please" left my lips as soon as I saw the waiter bring out his pen and paper. And I shit you not, he said, "We do not have anything called the bourbon chicken skillet. And is Pepsi okay?" The triggers. Damn, man. From that point, I was shook. I didn't know what to say. I was angry not only because they didn't have the skilly, but because he had the audacity to ask if Pepsi was okay instead of Coke. I like that callback. Definitely, we ranted about that before. I looked it up, and Denny's has some items on the menu that aren't at every location throughout the U.S. Anyways, I calmed down and proceed to go with my go-to meal every time and got a chicken fried steak. Good man. Great choice. My question for the cast is, are there any food items or any items in general that are exclusive to a certain area of the US that you would want to have access to at all times? If so, what might they be? So first of all, I want to say I'm so sorry for your traumatic experience. You should definitely I know Katie's not on tonight. He might be hearing this, but maybe tweet him directly about him causing you this kind of pain. But yeah, like you said, definitely a region-based issue. For me, it's really simple, and it may be cliche as hell, but man, we were talking about cheesesteaks earlier, Brad. Like a proper, getting a good, not even just, but just a good Philly cheesesteak anywhere in the country I would like. That was one thing I really missed being in LA since being home, that I really do enjoy that style of sandwich. So that's for me. I don't know. Do you guys have anything regionally that you think of? I guess it doesn't have to be necessarily even where you're from. It's just you wish,
Yeah,
like, if you went
I'm
somewhere
trying
and
to
ate
think of
something.
if there's anything else that I know of that lines up with what he's talking about, which is like, national chains that have regional items that aren't available everywhere. I don't know of that many examples.
For me, it'd be poutine, I think.
Okay. Yeah. That's
I
true.
don't
That's
don't have it like anywhere near here, but I've tried it once and it was okay. It was good, but I want to try it more.
Mm.
And it's supposedly a huge Canadian staple, but
Yep.
I don't know.
Holding out on us, man. Keeping it across the border in a lot of places.
Oh, In-N-Out is a good one,
Yeah.
I guess, if you're into that.
Yeah. It would be nice to have In-N-Outs on the East Coast. I agree.
Yeah, but he's talking about food items though. I'm not talking about like regional
just
chains. He's talking about regional food
so
items.
poutine stands then. Okay.
Yeah, poutine I think is that stands, because like that the thing is, maybe they have, I don't know, but maybe in Canada they might have poutine at like McDonald's or some other chain, and so that would definitely work, because like that's something that they don't serve in the U.S., but they source it internationally. Sure. I don't know.
Well, we were
I
just
don't have a
talking
good
about this in the
example.
pre-show. What about you guys for like ciders and stuff? Because it sounds like, like where I'm at, we have nothing but like local draft or brewed beers. But like I can't imagine going anywhere else where we don't really have much of an option. I don't know if you guys are really into drinking, but I don't know. We were talking about ciders, I think, at the pre-show.
Yeah,
I don't know that I could describe myself as being really into drinking.
Same.
Without without causing worries of other kinds. But
I mean, drinking to me is purely contextual. Like, if I go to a con, I'm going to drink a bunch. Normally, like, it took me 6 months to get through my case of Stella, which I just finished one tonight. So, unless I'm like going out with like drinking at home, no, very, very, very rarely. Once in a while.
here are some examples that I found. Like, McDonald's has a McLobster.
Oh yeah, that's
that is apparently
Maine,
New England somewhere.
Yeah, New England area.
That is not a thing I would want.
No,
but apparently it's $7.99, which is like half the price of any other lobster roll you're gonna get. So yeah, I'm guessing the quality there is not.
Maybe some imitation lobster meat in that thing.
Yeah, maybe so.
Version.
Jack in the Box has a Spam breakfast platter. McDonald's has biscuits and gravy. I don't know how accurate all these are. There's apparently a McDonald's dessert that's only found in Hawaii.
Oh, you know what? I was about to say that actually all the fast food places have like national fast food places have Hawaii specific items, which is kind of interesting. At least the last time I was over there, yeah.
I don't know that I've tried any
McDonald's
of those.
has they've done this multiple times, but they did a McPizza at different places in their history, and I think some even still do. McPizza, yeah. Look up the McPizza. Yeah. Not that I want to try that, but I actually read a thread recently or something that someone was saying that one of the local McDonald's had that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good example, but some of these sound interesting though. Like some of these examples I've found, I'm just not. I mean, like I would try biscuits and gravy at McDonald's. I just don't really. I don't eat breakfast at McDonald's that much, but I didn't know that was like a special item. That's only in certain regions.
Right, exactly.
But I do.
What's interesting is. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I want to thank Will Hull for the phrase "I stumble into my local Dennis."
Exactly.
I've never heard Denny's just called Dennis. But for some reason, that phrase I lost it. That's incredible.
That is a beautiful piece of writing right there.
Exactly. I want to say that like the fact that this was related to a KD Zen anecdote, and it was sort of written in the style of KD himself. Truly, like it really brought it all together. So very nice question.
Well done by the Will Hull. All right, and we've got one more somewhat long email question, I suppose, from Seth, and this came via email as well. And he said, "Hey, everyone. I asked a question on the pre-Christmas podcast about inside jokes and pranks and revealed to the world our inside joke, the Santa head. To refresh your memories." Yeah, that is. To refresh your memories, the Santa head is this abomination of an art piece that my family won at a winter craft fair. We secretly pass it along to each other like a tangible Rickroll. Yeah, I do remember that now. My dad was selected as Grand Marshal for our town's annual Founders Day type parade festival. Our family came together for it with one of my brothers coming from out of state to drive our dad. The morning of the parade, my oldest brother appears with a large rainbow zebra stripe bag, asking where our dad would be sitting on the review stand. After driving the parade route with the Grand Marshal, I ran the route back to pull double duty with my high school alumni marching band while my dad made his way to the review stand. Sure enough, he saw the gift bag and opened it. After almost dying from laughter and feeling bamboozled, he showed off this Medusa's head of a gift to the parade audience in all of its chintzy, hot glue covered glory. That's amazing. It might just be the biggest prank the family has played on one another since the old skunk pelt on a string. Jeez. Wow. If you still want a question out of all this, I asked, if you've honestly pranked someone, what prank have you played that had the most people witnessing it? I hope you all have a happy National Strawberries and Cream Day. Here's also a pic of the moment for your enjoyment. Oh, very cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that thing is absolutely. Wow, that is.
That's horrifying.
That is a horrifying piece. Amazing. Wow. Yeah, I guess if you're an audio listener, you're not. I don't even know how to begin to describe it. But Seth described it pretty well, actually. In chintzy hot glue. You can see the hot glue all around it. Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
I didn't realize, but today, May 21st, apparently is National Strawberries and Cream Day, Seth. Which I don't want to get into a rant about how literally every day is some sort of sort of official day, but that is wow, National Strawberries and Cream Day. All right.
But no, Seth, thank you for that. I mean, for me, as far as like the most amount of people, mine's kind of not at the scale that you did it, like at a parade, but or your brother did, but I had a situation. So there were, I think it was a senior year of high school. One of my friends, Matt, his parents had a house in Jersey near the beach, and so they would let him and a bunch of his friends, like me included, go down there and spend time. And one time we had a pretty big group of high school friends go there. I think it was probably about maybe 11 or 12 people, like not huge, but a decent amount. And there was this one friend in the group named Mike, who I'm still friends with to this day, who had a lot of medical issues throughout high school. And, was always somebody that was in and out of the hospital and stuff like that. And so all that to say, one day I had this idea. Matt, who was hosting the weekend, had gone out with a couple other people to get groceries, and we're just sitting around. And I was like, Mike, this may be super fucked up, but how funny would it be if we pretended that you passed out while they were gone, and when they come back, we're all freaking out thinking that like you died. And wow, I know it's a little heavy, but again, you have to understand the reason I did this was because like the group of people that went out were super high strung. So I knew that like, anyway, it was kind of like a bit of like payback, but like, I was like, we won't let it go on too long. And like, we'll just say that we won't say you died. We'll just say that you passed out and that we need medical attention. All right. So fast forward to, I mean, I think it was pretty funny. So we're like, all right, Mike, lay down like this. So he lays down face down, and we had a glass, like he was carrying a glass and he had fallen with the glass. So we placed a glass over and poured a little water on the carpet. So it looked super legit. And so sure enough, Matt pulls up in the car with a couple of the other people. And I'm like watching. I'm like, all right, I'm watching. I'm like, all right, people, are we ready? Showtime. And as soon as they step over like the threshold to start coming up the stairs, it was like a multiplex. I'm just like, oh my God, Mike. And I'm putting on a performance of a lifetime. And meanwhile, all people are running around and we're like, we can't find his phone. We don't know if we should call 911 or whatever. And of course, right away, the pandemonium starts. Matt's like, oh my God, this is like not even my place. My parents, Mike can't die here. And anyway, it's having all the effects that I want it to have. But then something that I didn't expect happens. So I went to a Christian, this may not sound like it, but I went to a Christian prep school the last 2 years of my high school career. And Matt somehow in his time of panic decides that he's going to kneel down and pray over Mike, who's passed out on the floor. Like, well, we need to take a second and we should pray over Mike. And it was at that moment that my friends started looking around. We're like, okay, maybe we should, he's invoking God now. Like maybe we should tell him that this is a joke. And so he's like, dear Father, he's like really praying for Mike. And I'm like, oh God, I'm like, this is getting bigger than I wanted it to be. And so at that point, Mike like slowly starts to open his eye and he's like, I can tell he's going to lose it pretty soon. And then he like jumped up and was like, we were just kidding. And I mean, obviously the look on Matt's face, he was so relieved, but I got a little nervous once God started getting invoked. And I asked Matt and he was like, yeah, no, I thought Mike was dead. I thought, we got him pretty good. Now, do you think, okay, here's a question. I haven't really told that story to too many people. Was that too mean? Or was that like, I mean, come on, boys will be boys, right? That's par for the course. And you got to understand, like, I love Matt, but he was a super high strung dude. Like, he's one of those dudes that like you go to his parents' like place and he's like, can you make sure that all the glasses are, I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, I feel like Mike reminds me a little bit of, and now Brandon, you aren't a wet blanket, but you're very conscientious and you're very, you like things in their place. It was kind of like one of those things, but he was even more over the top where like you put a glass down. He's like, you're going to put that in the sink, right? I'm like, dude, we're trying to relax here. Yes, I'll put it in the sink.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like to get back at him that way.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yes,
that's quite payback for him wanting to make sure a glass goes in the sink.
I know, but it was more like over the whole weekend that stuff was going on. No, and somebody in the chat was asking what if they were going to call the paramedics. So they were, and that was the other thing, was that I think somebody else, while the prayer was going on, someone was like, we got to call 911. What are we doing? You know what I mean? And so that moved along us being like, okay, we can't.
That prank seems like it lasts about 3 seconds before someone pulls out their phone and actually calls 911.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think I have an example here. It may come as a shock to most of you, but I'm not like a huge fan of pranks.
I can't imagine, Brandon. You? No way.
So I don't think I've ever pranked. I don't actually think I've ever really like pranked someone in any way that was memorable that stands out.
Okay. Brad, do you have any pranks that you've done besides that aren't in Rust?
No, I do have a life outside of Rust.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure.
One that comes to mind is basically I was graduating from high school or something. I was hanging out with my buddy, and one of the teachers asked if we could drive down to the middle school and pick something up. And that just sounds like a typical like what, I don't know. It's just like a small town thing. Anyways, to get something from another teacher. But so we did that, and we were waiting for, we went go to the middle school and tell the teacher what we needed. I don't remember what it was at the time, but we were waiting for the teacher to finish up what she was doing, and before she gave us what we needed. And there's a computer lab across the room, so my buddy and I went in there, and one of the computers was logged on, so we just like get on and just like fuck around for a second, and then we're pretty bored, and start looking to see, they had like this specific like blue background, textured background, and I was somehow like came across like the directory for that said background, and turns out the school district by default, when you sign into any computer, sets it to wherever that background is.
Right, that file.
Yeah. So when you start a new session, it'll set it to that and call it good. And it was accessible by everyone. Didn't matter. So at the time, the troll face was a dank meme. So
yes. Oh, the troll
face. I was pretty proficient in like Photoshop at the time, so I was like, okay, this is gonna be sick. So I opened up the file and got like the largest vector of the troll face I could find, and put it over the blue background, but then made it like 3% opacity, so like you couldn't really tell until like you kind of like backed up a little bit, and it was perfect. And sure enough, I saved it, and like my buddy logged into another computer, and sure enough, the new session. So that was at the like right before I graduated. So I don't know if how long it took them, if it
to figure it out.
Yeah, but
that's good. I like that.
Yeah. The other thing was to my buddy and I also figured out that you could, like, they reserved IP addresses for each computer on the network for the school district, and what they didn't do was like restrict it so like anybody could like reassign their own IP, and then like yeah, so like my buddy and I would like unplug a computer, plug in our laptops, and then like steal like a teacher's IP or something like that. And at least at the time, I had a MacBook, and you could set up a MacBook to broadcast your connection via Wi-Fi, and you could change the name to anything that you'd want it to be. And I don't remember what the names were, but like I just remember broadcasting for all the seniors like unfiltered access from like some poor teacher that we stole their IP from. Because what would happen is when you take their IP, they just get like booted from the network for whatever reason. So like we'd randomly hear like our English teacher like didn't have internet for the day, and he'd be fucking pissed about it.
You basically just put him off the network. Yeah. Like, wow, dude. Damn.
Yeah.
Man, what a prankster over here.
You were a
digital
prankster, Bradley.
Yeah, I
You were in
shouldn't
Ethan.
have. Yeah, that was it for high school. That was about as edgy as I got. But.
Okay.
Gonna say, are you out of the statute of limitations for being sued by your school?
That's pretty good. Yeah, I've got other ones that I could share, but I don't want to get much edge. We'll save that for another day. Yeah, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we'll save some of those. I mean, not necessarily that I was just a part of, but was accessory to, stuff like that. I mean, I even have stuff in my professional quote unquote professional career where
the word takes
like,
on a different meaning for some of us.
It does. But when I used to work for this isn't so much in front of people, like but there was this dude that got hired at this one tech support job that I got, and he like very clearly faked his resume and like knew nothing and would constantly be asking me and this other dude like a question about everything. Like we were literally basically doing his job for him. So one day I was like, dude, like this is fucking insane. Like I can't do two jobs. Like, so I decided that we were going to spoof email him as our boss and tell him that he had to attend this training like for this thing. And we just made up, dude, like when I'm talking about made up, we made up like this whole course that he was going to have to take that like everybody was taking, so that like he would basically like be out of our hair for like an hour. And me and this dude, I still will never forget it, my friend Dan Rodden, he
doxing your friend on the cast.
Yeah, cool. It's whatever. But we made up this whole hour-long thing where we were talking about, because he used to view us as an authority. So we were just like making stuff like Star Trek references, but like then tying it back and throwing in software that we actually used. And we recorded this like hour-long mix of PowerPoint and audio, and we sent it to him. And we told him they had to go to a conference room in the building. And we were just like, we just wanted to see if he would do it. You know what I mean? And I'll never forget, Dan sent the email, and I was like, there's just no way he's going to know that it's a joke. Like, I mean, this guy's like not the brightest, but he's going to know, like the email's kind of off. And so we send it to him, and no joke, I think we had set it, I forget, it was like a Friday, because we were like goofing off anyway. So we set it at like 1:00, and it was set for 3, which was another thing. Like, why would there be all this training that just randomly popped up? And so no joke, at like 3 on the dot, we hear him, because we're cubicles, so we're across from each other. We hear him get up and just like start packing his laptop up and go to the conference room. And in that we had a link, and we were like, no fucking, we're like, you know, we're on like our messaging app, and we're like messaging back and forth. Like, there's no way this is working. We go by the conference room. He is literally sitting in the conference room by himself with headphones on, watching the fake PowerPoint audio thing that we made. And he watched he was gone for an entire hour, and he comes back, and I'll never forget. I was like, well, what are we gonna? I was like, now we might get. I was like, oh shit, because it actually worked. And I was like, what if he goes to our boss and like follows up, you know what I mean, about the training? I was like, we're gonna get in fucking trouble, because like I didn't think it would actually work, and it was so funny. And so we got so paranoid about it that I wish I had like a cool answer to the story, but we just ended up just going like, we gotta fucking tell him, because he's definitely going to talk to our boss, and we're gonna get in trouble for basically making this dude waste an hour of company time. So we went and we were like, yo, Mike, you know that that was a joke, right? That train. He's like, what? It was like, yeah, the training thing that we sent you, that wasn't from our boss. That was just a joke. We were just playing a prank. And I'll never forget, dude. You want to talk about penance for your crime, or like the look on his face. I felt like I had just like punched like a puppy. I felt so bad, because he looked so, he was like, oh, he was like, yeah. He goes, as I was sitting in there, some of the stuff sounded a little crazy, but I was like, I don't know, maybe it's a new program that I'm not aware of. And dude, but if you had realized the stuff, like it was so over the top, even somebody that was very computer illiterate would not fall for it. So in that moment, I realized we were just dealing with a dude who was like totally out of his depth. I mean, he was a nice enough guy, but he just shouldn't have been in the job that he was in. But he just looked so like he felt, and we felt so bad. And we were like, oh, dude, yeah, it was just a joke. But that was like one of the ones I felt real bad about. In retrospect, because I never thought he'd actually go through with it. But suffice it to say, that didn't get him fired. He got fired for other stuff, mostly for just basically, like we said, not knowing anything about how to do the job. Like, So anyway, that's another one. But again,
sometimes
sometimes
what you tell yourself that he got
that's
fired
what,
for.
That's what I no, that's
and did his life actually unravel from that point
unraveled
forward?
after that prank. No, and so I think he basically, awesome, what he got out of that after we pranked him is like, I think he got what we were trying to say was like, dude, like, we can't be your constant resource. He would still ask us questions and stuff, but he was definitely after that. He was like, he wasn't as on our asses, and that's really all.
He's much more restrained.
He was more restrained, exactly. You're right. Probably inadvertently got him fired, but fuck it, dude. I'm not doing somebody else's job. Like, I'm not gonna do your job for you. So it was coming anyway. But God damn it. So anyway, that's another one. I guess that was a prank that I just thought never could work that we did get to work. So yeah. So there we go. So I'm a terrible human being, and I probably, if you're out there, Michael, if you're listening to this podcast, I've done this before, where that one dude I talked about the same job where I forgot to mute my phone on Christmas, and I don't know if you guys remember that, and I was talking to a coworker about how shitty it was that this dude has no life and is calling me on Christmas for tech support, and I wasn't, and I was through not TeamViewer, I was through whatever the Windows version of that was, and audio, you have a mic on your laptop and it was picking up audio, and I was like, this dude heard everything I said. A lot of people in chat remember that story. That was the same job, and anyway, lots of savage stuff went on there, and I was like, some low points in my life, things I'm not proud of. But
casually ruining people's lives.
Casually ruining people's lives, dude. Pretty fucked up. But let's move on to something not fucked up, and that is the iTunes podcast review of the week. There we go. Okay, decent segue.
Okay,
you're good. You're good at this, Scott. That's me patting myself on the back. But yeah, Brandon, I wasn't able to access the reviews last week, but we do have. I think this was a review. I think
you did say though that you actually filed a support ticket with iTunes because of your issue.
I did. I was telling you earlier because I don't know what's going on with my account. I'm logged in on all my other devices and stuff, but when I log into iTunes via the app on this computer, it says it's logged in, but then I can't actually access anything. So I don't know what's going on. So I sent a support ticket. I'll probably hear in the next 2 or 3 months back from iTunes about what's going on, knowing how that's worked in the past. But we do have an iTunes podcast this week, and it is from Bot Mamba. But if you would like to leave an iTunes podcast, you can do that by, of course, just going to iTunes on your phone or on your computer. And
you missed a word there.
What did I say?
You said they can leave a podcast, which I mean is not wrong. You can also leave a podcast on iTunes. It is a podcast platform. So I mean that's a lot more work, and that's probably subject to your own aspirations. But leaving us a podcast review, much easier than leaving a podcast.
Exactly. Yes. Let's do the review.
And the payoff is just as much because you just get basically to be featured in a podcast, and we do all the work for you after you submit it. So
exactly. And this one is a good one. It's no exception. This comes from Bot Mamba, who says, how KBMOD is chicken soup for the pleb's soul. Of course, it's a 5-star review. That is what we require if you're going to leave a review, so make sure it is 5 stars. And the review states the following. If you are looking for a podcast that asks and answers the hard-hitting questions, look no further. Covering topics from the latest gaming news to if candy corn and if cat relationships should be platonic or if true love should prevail, Scott Fisher, along with sidekicks Katie Zen and that one pasty dude whose name is still unknown. Wow, I don't know who he's talking about, whether it's Brandon or Brad, because he doesn't. Okay, are a energetic and intelligent crack team who always bring a high production value to their show. These cam boys provide an intellectual yet tantalizing element to the show that delivers gripping information. Wait. This sentence takes on a whole new meaning, actually, because there's an and in between this. These cam boys provide an intellectual yet tantalizing element to the show that delivers gripping and informative conversation and banter. Okay. I guess when he said cam boys and he used the word gripping, my mind went other places. But, they are also very easy on the eyes. Keep up the good work. So
that review goes a lot of places.
It does. And absolutely that. I'm trying to figure out if he's talking about you, Brandon, or Brad, though, for the pasty stuff.
I don't know.
Because he doesn't mention either of you by name. So do any of you want to
I mean, I
claim?
feel like I'm a little pastier than Brad is.
I mean,
But
I've
also,
seen.
Brad usually doesn't have the camera on.
That's true. That's a
So
good
if he's
point.
saying
That's a good
pasty,
point.
it seems like maybe it would probably be me because I'm leaving an impression.
And I'm just fucking forgotten.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Brad is a multiple objects on any given show. He could be anything. He shapeshifts.
That's true. He does. He
Mhm.
does change a bunch.
The thing that stands out to me here is that he left off, or maybe didn't leave off, what topics we cover. The latest gaming news to if candy corn. Like that's just a
right.
if candy corn.
And it's just to if candy corn. Yeah. Like if it exists, all things, I guess, to if candy corn.
Yeah, I mean that's basically if candy corn is like the entire subject matter around candy corn, which is not wrong. I mean we've covered candy corn pretty thoroughly on this show.
All right. Well, thank you for that review, Bob Mamba. And if you would like to leave a review yourself, again, please do. We can always use more 5-star reviews, which honestly, us. But then put anything you want in the body of it. We've had poetry, we've had obviously stories. We've had. I mean, this was a review that actually follows the general review format of a show, right? Like
this is actually pretty informative. Like if I were reading through our reviews, I would click yes on did you find this helpful?
Exactly. Oh, perfect. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Some of these other ones, even though I enjoy them, I don't know if I could hit yes.
Yeah, they're not necessarily helpful, but this one quite helpful. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, I think that is going to do it for episode. I have to scroll to the top of the doc. I'm really on top of it. Episode 279 of the KBMOD podcast. A pleasure as always, gentlemen. Of course, you can check out kbmod.com for multi-stream. Check out for articles and reviews, and hopefully at some point, maybe in the future, I won't promise anything, maybe an updated build guide in the next couple weeks or months, because there is some new hardware and stuff coming out. So hopefully we will get something to that nature up on there. Of course, again, I'll mention Extra Life one more time. This podcast, Extra Life, is August 18th, 19th, and 20th. So again, just keep that date on the calendar and in your mind. You can follow KBMOD Gaming on Twitter at KBMOD Gaming. I am at APL Fisher. Volition is at VOL1TION. And Brad is at Hutchison15 or at Z. Oh my God, it's Hutch. Either or. He still gets the revenue from both of those accounts. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Farewell. Yatta! Yatta! Yatta!